Chapter 1844. Qin Wentian and Qin Wentian fought with their lives on the line, causing the hearts of the spectators to tremble. Right now, not only did Qin Wentian go crazy, Qin Wentian also went all out. He knew that he wouldn't be able to deal with both Qin Wentian and Lin Zhao's attacks. He could only go all out. Terrifying, devouring energy frenziedly absorbed everything from Qin Wentian's body. However, at the same instant, a power that could seal everything, a power that could stop life from entering Qin Wentian's body, as well as a terrifying evil blood art. At this moment, this entire space was filled with devilish qi. Terrifying heads appeared, towering black fog filled the sky, and blood light filled the air. It felt like anyone who got close to them would die. It was like a battle between devils and devils. Qin Wentian's body would occasionally wither, and wither as though everything in his body was about to be devoured. Yu Changkong's body turned into a man of blood as he was slowly engulfed by the blood light. When Lin Zhao saw this scene, he didn't step forward. He frowned. How intense was the hatred between these two? Qin Wentian's desire to kill Yu Changkong was clearly even deeper compared to him. Boom! An even stronger wave of blood light engulfed everything. Yu Changkong screamed in agony as he transformed into a mist of blood. That terrifying head that blotted out the sun also exploded at this moment. Qin Wentian's body was heavily injured, and his entire person was now a man of blood. At this moment, the poison fog drifted over, frenziedly seeping into Qin Wentian's body. Clearly, that expert from the God Extermination Palace had acted. If he could kill Qin Wentian in one fell swoop, why not? Devilox also wanted to act. This was another extremely rare opportunity. But the Divine Sound World Overlord had been staring at him. At the instant he wanted to act, the Divine Sound World Overlord already blocked him. Upon seeing the blood poison attacking Qin Wentian, the Divine Sound World Overlord folded hand seals. A formless sound wave enveloped Qin Wentian's body, causing the blood poison's energy to be unable to continue invading his body. Why bother? Divine Sound could only sigh in his heart when he saw Qin Wentian's miserable state. Luo Shenlei used her life as a sacrifice to impart her evil arts to Qin Wentian. This heaven-chosen fell and became a devil, killing 3 experts from the Qin clan and Yu Changkong. However, he also sacrificed everything he had and suffered a calamity. Can you take him away? The Divine Sound World Overlord stared at Goddess Nikhang as he spoke. Before this, Goddess Nikhang had also acted to help Qin Wentian. Although he didn't know the reason, other than him, the only person who could save Qin Wentian was her. Goddess Nikhang nodded lightly. Her silhouette flashed as a formless energy enveloped Qin Wentian and brought him over. After that, she brought Qin Wentian away, preparing to leave this dangerous battlefield. Upon seeing this scene, many people were puzzled. Goddess Nikhang helped Qin Wentian because the people of the Qin clan wanted to deal with her. Hence, did she feel pity for Qin Wentian, the enemy of the Qin clan? No one knew the answer to this point. Someone wanted to stop Goddess Nikhang, but the Divine Sound World Overlord stood before him. He coldly spoke, "Before the disciples of my Tiandao Sacred Academy entered the legendary place, we didn't learn any secrets. It's just that the heavenly deity once warned us to guard our hearts. However, among everyone here, there are some whose hearts were bewitched by an evil devil. Now, are you all still not going to give up?" Lin Zhao stared at the experts here as he calmly spoke. The legendary place, the world of reincarnation, truly allows one to see one's true self. Only by becoming a unique existence would one be able to gain the recognition of the world of reincarnation. This is merely your wishful thinking. I came to the legendary place merely to broaden my horizons. Even if there's no good fortune here, it wouldn't affect my martial Dao. Let's end things here today. The people of the Qin clan and Yu Changkong have all died. The matter of them dealing with the mystical maiden could be considered settled. Next, he still had to deal with another person. Gui Chun from the Prison God clan, he had also participated in this. Goddess Nikhang brought Qin Wentian away. During this period of time, they were still being pursued by the blood poison. Divine Sound seemed to have sensed something. His silhouette flashed as he sped towards a certain direction in the ancient city, searching for the source of the blood poison. God Extermination Palace, cold baleful qi. The status of the Divine Sound World Overlord in the Tiandao Sacred Academy was extraordinary. He was ranked at the top of the Heavenly Dao rankings of the Mystic region, and might even be one of the strongest. Back in the Tiandao Sacred Academy, he could already easily teach Devilox a lesson. Although his talent might not be that high, his cultivation base was extremely high and his strength was definitely extraordinary. After finding the cold baleful qi, a battle erupted between the two of them. But in the end, the Divine Sound World Overlord was actually corroded by the poisonous qi and had to retreat. However, Goddess Nikhang and Qin Wentian also managed to escape unscathed. Everything here seemed to have nothing to do with Qin Wentian. Several months later, in a quiet and uninhabited place in the world of reincarnation, there were a few small houses here. Behind them, there were green mountains and ancient peaks. In front of them, there were lush greenery. Everything was quiet and peaceful. However, in this peaceful place, there was an extremely powerful evil qi. Blood qi filled the air, and it was extremely terrifying. However, in this strange environment, there was a peerless beauty outside the house. She was like the most beautiful scenery in the world, and no matter how beautiful the environment was, it couldn't compare to her beauty. At this moment, a terrifying blood-colored light suddenly erupted. The beautiful eyes of the beautiful woman flashed as she turned her head and stared at the small house. After that, she only saw a figure walking out. This figure was handsome yet radiated a demonic blood-colored light. The blood-colored light radiating from him was fluctuating unstably. The person who walked out was naturally Qin Wentian. As for the woman, she was none other than the #1 beauty of the heaven region, Goddess Nikhang. Qin Wentian stared at the beautiful woman before him. His eyes gleamed with an evil light, exuding an intense sense of invasion, causing Goddess Nikhang to frown. Cold intent radiated from her as she stared at Qin Wentian. I cultivated this evil art because Lei directly imparted it to me. My foundation isn't stable, and after the battle in the past, my vitality was greatly injured. Right now, it's even harder for me to control this evil art. Even if I'm facing you, I would still have evil thoughts in my heart. You should leave. Qin Wentian spoke to Goddess Nikhang. He didn't hide his thoughts at all. The evil art itself had the power to corrode one's heart. Just like what he said, the process of him cultivating this evil art was a one-step process. Hence, it was even harder for him to control himself. Goddess Nikhang glanced at Qin Wentian. After that, she turned her head back and stared at the scenery in the distance. Qin Wentian also turned his gaze over. The scenery was extremely beautiful. With such a beautiful woman beside him, even if he didn't cultivate the evil art, it was inevitable for him to have evil thoughts in his heart. You've already brought me to many places, right? I can faintly sense that I've caused the deaths of many people. Qin Wentian spoke in a light voice. After the battle in the past, although his will was a little blurry, he could still faintly sense that he was brought to a small town by Goddess Nikhang. After that, the people in that small town all died because of him, transforming into a bloody hell. Those scenes were like a nightmare, tormenting his heart. Why did you help me? Qin Wentian suddenly asked. He didn't understand. Could it be because he had acted against the people of the Qin clan, and the people of the Qin clan had acted against her? If it was just because of this, even if she brought him away, there was no need for her to stay here. Goddess Nikhang didn't reply to Qin Wentian. Her beautiful eyes stared at him as she spoke in a light voice. Since you know the reason, you should calm your heart and cultivate, stabilizing your state of heart and severing your heart demons. Since you can control yourself today, you should be able to do the same in the future. I will do my best. However, there's no need for you to stay here. Qin Wentian saw that Goddess Nikhang didn't want to answer why she helped him. He didn't ask anymore. He only hoped that she would leave. If she stayed here, the evil thoughts in his heart would only be aroused. He was afraid that he wouldn't be able to control himself, and would refine her into a blood body. The environment here is very quiet, there's no one here. In the east, there's a mountain range with demonic beasts. If you really can't control yourself, you can go there. Goddess Nikhang spoke in a light voice. After that, she stood up and her silhouette flashed, vanishing from this place. After she left, Qin Wentian heaved a sigh of relief. His eyes flashed with a bloodthirsty light as the blood chi in his body gushed forth. It was like he could no longer control himself as he let out a low howl of pain. His heart was being corroded by the evil thoughts. It was much more serious compared to later. Earlier he did his best to control himself and persuaded Goddess Nikhang to leave, because he was worried that he would harm her. From afar, Goddess Nikhang stood on an ancient mountain peak and stared at the blood-colored light that permeated the area. Her beautiful eyes were calm, but her heart trembled slightly. So it turned out that he already found it hard to control himself. Seems like the influence of the evil arts on him was very great. She didn't leave but chose to stay on this ancient mountain peak instead. In the blink of an eye, several months passed. The winds and clouds in the outside world changed, but Qin Wentian was still isolated from the world. Today, the mountain range to the east of the little house was enveloped by a blood mist. All the demonic beasts were killed and fresh blood dyed the mountain peaks red. Even the setting sun seemed to have turned the color of blood. A ghastly sight to behold. The people of the Qin clan cultivated the evil arts, and they had to cultivate step by step from the start to the end. Even so, they still found it hard to control their greed. Even Goddess Nikhang and the mystical maiden wanted to touch them. From this, one could very well imagine how tyrannical the evil arts were. Qin Wentian succeeded in a single step. He directly received Lei Er's inheritance, and after he obtained the evil arts, he directly experienced a bloody battle, completely unleashing the tyrannical nature of the evil arts. Today, in the world of reincarnation, the entire world was enveloped by dark clouds. In the air, thunder and lightning flashed. After that, a torrential rain descended. The terrifying might of thunder and lightning was like a doomsday lightning tribulation, unceasingly raining down. Numerous bolts of lightning arced through the sky, descending onto the earth. Under the quiet ancient mountain peak, among the lush ancient trees, outside the little house, the torrential rain and thunder could be heard. There was also a terrifying blood-colored light that shot up into the sky. A roar rang out as Qin Wentian rushed out, transforming into a blood-colored bolt of lightning, wanting to leave. But at this moment, in the midst of the torrential rain, a beautiful figure stood there, bathing in the lightning and thunder. Her robes were wet from the torrential rain, outlining her perfect figure. Her long hair was also wet, exuding a transcendent aura. She stared at Qin Wentian. "Where are you going?" "Scram!" Qin Wentian roared at her. "Are you worthy of Luotian Lei?" Goddess Nikhang spoke. Rumble. The terrifying blood-colored light seemed to want to engulf everything. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed with a terrifying evil light. His body moved like lightning, appearing before Goddess Nikhang. His hands directly grabbed her arms as his eyes gleamed with a terrifying blood-colored light. His blood might seem to want to engulf that beautiful figure. "I told you to leave. Why did you return?" Qin Wentian roared. "Because I believe that Qin Yuanfeng's son wouldn't be so useless." Goddess Nichang's beautiful eyes were cold as she stared at Qin Wentian. Her voice was like divine thunder in the sky, rumbling within Qin Wentian's mind. Chapter 1845. Qin Wentian's heart trembled violently. His blood-colored eyes flashed with a hint of sobriety. His body was struggling in pain, but the torrential rain and lightning continued to cascade down, landing on the two of them. Under the illumination of the lightning, Goddess Nichang's beautiful countenance was so beautiful that it caused the hearts of those who looked at her to tremble. Her clothes that were drenched by the torrential rain clung tightly to her body, outlining her perfect curves. But at this moment, Qin Wentian didn't know how to show tenderness to the fairer sex. His hands grabbed Goddess Nichang's arms as fresh blood seeped out. Upon sensing the scent of blood, the blood-red light in Qin Wentian's eyes grew even more intense. But when he stared at Nichang's clear and beautiful eyes, he hesitated and felt incomparable pain. "No!" With a low roar, Qin Wentian's hands tore apart Goddess Nichang's sleeves, revealing her fair jade-like skin. She was so alluring, and if ordinary men were to see the current Goddess Nikhang, they would surely fall into a frenzy, unable to extricate themselves. However, Qin Wentian roared in rage and soared up into the air, rushing towards the boundless lightning bolts. "Go!" Qin Wentian roared. Goddess Nikhang inclined her head and stared at him. She didn't expect the evil art of the world of reincarnation to have such a corrosive effect on one's will. If Qin Wentian's heart turned to the devil, he would be like Yu Changkong, becoming a true devil that devoured others. If that was the case, he wouldn't feel any pain and the evil art would be suppressed. She inclined her head, but she didn't leave. She also didn't care about her exposed snow-white skin. She only stared at the figure in the air. Qin Wentian soared up into the boundless space, into the terrifying storm of lightning. It was like he wanted to search for the source of the lightning. "What are you doing?" Goddess Nichang's beautiful eyes flashed when she saw Qin Wentian's actions. After that, she soared up into the air only to see Qin Wentian's figure rising higher and higher, flying towards the center of the storm of lightning. The lightning was like a world-ending lightning tribulation. The terrifying vortex devoured everything. Qin Wentian appeared extremely tiny in the center of the vortex. His eyes still flickered with a blood-red light, yet there was a hint of clarity in them. That hint of clarity suppressed the evil energy within. Staring at the boundless lightning, he waved his hands and instantly, the boundless might of the lightning tribulation was drawn into his body. At this instant, the boundless lightning congregated with him at the center. His body seemed to be penetrated by a myriad of lightning tribulations as his entire body flickered with the light of lightning. If the cycle of reincarnation is destined to be filled with pain, I'd rather not have this cultivation base. Qin Wentian inclined his head, his eyes gleaming with determination. Even more powerful lightning bolts frenziedly penetrated his body. He guided the lightning into his body, but he gave up all resistance, allowing the destructive might to wreak havoc in his body, destroying everything. His body trembled as the blood-red light around him grew weaker and weaker. His life force also grew weaker and weaker. Goddess Nighang stared at the scene of destruction in the air. Her beautiful eyes froze as she stared at everything in a dumbfounded manner. Was he going to destroy his own cultivation base? As the blood-red light grew weaker, although Qin Wentian was weakened, his eyes grew clearer and clearer. The determination in his eyes grew stronger and stronger. Your elder brother still has no way to continue on this path. If this world of reincarnation truly has a cycle of reincarnation, I'm willing to enter it and suffer 1,000 tribulations and all kinds of pain. I only hope that you are still alive. Qin Wentian stared at the boundless lightning as he spoke. He pointed to the terrifying lightning tribulation vortex as he spoke in anger. The cycle of reincarnation is heartless. It's regretful that my strength is too weak. If not, I would definitely break the cycle of reincarnation. His voice seemed to have angered the lightning tribulation in the air. At this moment, the boundless lightning might gathered together, becoming even more violent, causing the heavens and earth to collapse. A stifling pressure bore down on everyone. Goddess Nichang's countenance drastically changed. How could he be so powerful? Was the world of reincarnation really so heartless? Boom! A world-destroying bolt of lightning that pierced through the 9 heavens blasted down, penetrating through Qin Wentian's body from the top of his head. Qin Wentian's finger was still pointing up at the sky, but it slowly slumped down weakly. The blood-red light around him completely dissipated, and his body also fell from the sky powerlessly. Lightning crackled on his body as the torrential rain continued to rain down on him. Goddess Nichang's silhouette flashed as she stretched out her hand and caught the falling body. Right now, Qin Wentian's eyes were tightly shut, and his body was incomparably weak. Staring at the figure lying between her hands, Goddess Nighang could only sigh in her heart. Giving up was the greatest courage. He would rather give up his heaven-shaking cultivation base than to harm others. This world of reincarnation was truly cruel. A beautiful figure floated down. Goddess Nighang carried Qin Wentian's body into the small house and quietly placed him there. She herself quietly sat at the side, hoping that everything would end soon. The world of reincarnation caused too many people to fall for it, causing too many people to experience pain. The small house was incomparably quiet. There was no sound at all. Outside, the torrential rain continued, as though this was the anger of the world of reincarnation. This torrential rain continued for a few days before it finally stopped. During the evening when the storm stopped, Qin Wentian woke up from his coma. His body was exceptionally weak and as expected, All his cultivation base had disappeared. He self-destructed his cultivation base and became immortal. Naturally, he also destroyed the evil art he learned. He didn't need to be bewitched by the evil art anymore. Sitting up, Qin Wentian discovered some spirit herbs and immortal fruits at the side. Qin Wentian took them and placed them in his mouth, chewing on them. A clear flow of energy flowed through his body, feeling extremely comfortable. He recovered his strength and felt more spirited. He then stood up and walked out of the small house. Multicolored light reflected in his eyes. Qin Wentian stared at the verdant ancient trees before him. After that, he inclined his head and stared at the sky. The sky was dyed red and there was a rainbow gate in the air. After the torrential rain, it was actually so beautiful. Qin Wentian continued forward, but he didn't see the figure of goddess Nikhang. He turned his head and stared at the ancient mountain behind the little house. Following the ancient mountain, he stared at the peak of the ancient peak only to see a beautiful figure standing there. She was clad in a long white dress that fluttered in the wind. Her jet-black hair fluttered in the wind as the glow of the setting sun shone down on her. This scene was like a scene from a celestial realm in the mortal world. Even for Qin Wentian, he was in a daze at this moment as he quietly stared at this extremely rare painting. The beautiful figure on the ancient mountain seemed to have sensed something. Her beautiful eyes turned over, and when she saw that Qin Wentian had awakened, goddess Nikhang floated down and flew over. The rainbow light cascaded down on her, making her seem like a true goddess. She landed beside Qin Wentian and didn't say anything. She stretched out her hand and held onto Qin Wentian's arm as the two of them soared up into the air, heading towards the ancient mountain peak. Goddess Nikhang didn't say anything, neither did Qin Wentian. Such a scene, it was like no one was willing to disturb them. When they came to the ancient mountain peak again, goddess Nikhang still didn't say anything. She merely inclined her head and quietly stared at the multicolored light in the sky, staring at the rainbow. It was like she brought Qin Wentian up here because she wanted him to be able to enjoy such a beautiful scene. Qin Wentian also inclined his head and stood shoulder to shoulder with her, staring up at the sky. That beautiful scene was so beautiful that it felt surreal, like a dream. Qin Wentian would occasionally glance at the maiden beside him with pure admiration in his eyes. Maybe she herself didn't realize it. Just by standing there, she herself was already a beautiful scenery. Only when she fused into the beautiful scenery of this world would she appear perfect and flawless. In the sky, a gigantic bird suddenly flew over. It was actually a phoenix. It flew towards the rainbow. The gazes of goddess Nikhang and Qin Wentian froze as their calm hearts started to fluctuate again. After that, the multicolored light grew more and more intense, enveloping this entire world. Boundless multicolored light cascaded down from the sky, enveloping everything. In the sky, there seemed to be a blurry shadow that was faintly discernible, like a mirage, gradually becoming clearer and clearer. It was like a holy palace, solemn and holy. The multicolored light that filled the sky seemed to gather there. Phoenixes circled around the holy palace. That holy palace released a holy radiance, making this already beautiful world even more breathtaking. At this moment, the door of the sacred hall opened. Over at Qin Wentian's side, a beam of holy light landed on Qin Wentian. This time around, it was goddess Nikhang who turned her head and stared at Qin Wentian beside her. His handsome features were extremely distinct. Although he no longer had his cultivation base, his magnificence couldn't be concealed. A rare smile appeared in her beautiful eyes. At this moment, it was as if the entire world had lost its color. After the wind and rain, a rainbow appeared. Chapter 1846. At this moment, everyone in the world of reincarnation could see the resplendent scene in the sky. Those experts from the supreme ancient immortal realm stared at the sky, feeling as though everything was surreal. A sacred hall appeared in the sky of the Samsara temple. The sky was filled with rainbows and auspicious saint beasts. This was truly a wondrous scene. At this moment, a few words involuntarily appeared in their minds. The legendary place. The legendary place of the Tiandao Sacred Academy. Could it be that it wasn't the world of reincarnation they entered but was there instead? Some people soared up into the sky, chasing after that legendary place. However, they discovered that no matter how they advanced, the sacred hall was still so far away in the horizon. There was no end to it. It was like they would never be able to reach it. They basically had no way to enter the legendary place. On the ancient peak, Goddess Nikhang smiled as she stared at Qin Wentian. It was unknown how beautiful she was. Right now, Qin Wentian was enveloped by multicolored light. From the direction of the sacred hall, there seemed to be a heavenly path that appeared before him. Clearly, it was to welcome him. Goddess Nikhang knew that Qin Wentian had obtained the recognition of the sacred hall and had a chance to enter the legendary place. "Why are you still not coming up?" A voice rang out. This voice was ethereal, like the voice of a god, causing those experts from the supreme ancient immortal realms to tremble. Who was this voice directed at? Did someone obtain the recognition of the legendary place? Qin Wentian could sense that this voice was directed at him. He started. After that, he glanced at Goddess Nikhang, who was beside him, only to see Goddess Nikhang nodding to him. "Go on." Qin Wentian turned his head and stared at the heavenly path. After that, he stepped up as a solemn look flashed in his eyes. There were actually people who existed in the legendary place? Was the owner of that voice the creator of the world of reincarnation? How powerful of an existence was that? Was he the creator of the Tiandao Sacred Academy? At the instant Qin Wentian's feet landed on the heavenly path formed by multicolored light directly shot towards the sacred hall. After that, Qin Wentian's figure vanished as well. In the sky, the auspicious light was still as bright as ever. Qin Wentian arrived before the sacred hall. There was a gate there that led to an ancient path. Qin Wentian followed the ancient path and entered the sacred hall. After that, the scenery before him widened, as though he was in another world. This was an extremely beautiful world with blue skies and white clouds. There were all sorts of auspicious saint beasts dancing in the air. The surrounding scenery was extremely beautiful, like a place where the gods resided. Qin Wentian felt increasingly curious in his heart. As he continued walking, he saw a cow. This cow Qin Wentian, although it was just a cow, but it Qin Wentian felt. Although it was, it Qin Wentian Qin Hall. "It might I ask, Senior Cow, what is this place?" Qin Wentian asked. This old cow glanced behind him, indicating for him to continue ahead. Qin Wentian nodded to the old cow and continued on his way. He saw several maidens here. Each of them was extremely beautiful and had different styles. All of them radiated a holy glow and were like goddesses, lofty and unreachable. The feeling they gave Qin Wentian was that none of them were weaker than the lonely heaven god. Waves of shock rose in his heart. He wasn't calm at all. There were snow-white foxes playing around in front of him. In front of him, there was a figure sitting on the ground, exuding a carefree aura. This person was clad in simple white robes and his countenance was extremely handsome. With just a single glance, he felt like he could see through him. It was like there were no secrets before him at all. This incomparably handsome young man in white was currently smiling at him. Beside him, there was a beautiful maiden who exuded a holy aura. Her beauty even surpassed Goddess Nikhang. Beside them, there was a gigantic flower petal. On the flower petal, a scene could be seen. It seemed to be a scene from the world of reincarnation. The flower petal was projecting everything that happened in the world of reincarnation. As the saying goes, one flower, one world. This should be the case. Qin Wentian's heart pounded. He couldn't help but feel nervous. He could faintly sense that this handsome young man before him might be a true supreme character. An expert who stood at the peak of the supreme ancient immortal realms. Out of all the people he met before, maybe only the Time King was qualified to be compared to this young man. Junior Qin Wentian pays my respects to Senior. Qin Wentian politely spoke. The young man smiled. There's no need to be so polite. This cycle of reincarnation has caused you to suffer many hardships. I heard from you that you wanted to break my world of reincarnation. Qin Wentian sweated. But given the young man's status, he most probably wouldn't care about a few words. It has been many years since I came here. Why did that little fellow open this place again? But luckily I met you. You are more in line with my personality. Hence, I summoned you here. The young man smiled. Qin Wentian was speechless. So it turned out that the reason he could come to this legendary place was because of the young man's mood. This was truly, however, his heart trembled. Most probably, the opening of the legendary place required the approval of the headmaster of the Tiandao Sacred Academy, the little fellow he spoke of. Upon thinking of this, Qin Wentian only felt trepidation in his heart. I can satisfy a request of yours. What would it be? The young man in white spoke. Naturally, don't indulge in the wildest fantasies. If you want to ascend to the heavens in a single step, you have to do it step by step, and depend on your own comprehension. But if you want cultivation arts and innate techniques, I can satisfy you. Is this world of reincarnation Senior's world? Qin Wentian asked. MHM. The young man in white nodded. Since this is the case, Senior should have absolute control over this world, right? I want my younger sister to come back to life. Is this considered indulging in the wildest fantasies? Qin Wentian stared at the young man in white. The young man in white laughed. What's so difficult about that? I can even reverse the flow of time in my world. Many thanks, Senior. Qin Wentian drew in a deep breath. As expected, this was possible. He thought back to the time realm. The God King of Time could bring him back to the past, allowing him to control the flow of time in the world he created. In that case, would this supreme existence before him be able to do so as well? Right now he really could. Are you sure you want to make such a simple request? The young man in white smiled at him. You should know that there are many conditions you can raise. For example, I can gift you a deity mount. How about it? Qin Wentian had a face filled with black lines, feeling somewhat speechless. This was an undisguised temptation. A deity mount. Qin Wentian felt somewhat speechless when he thought of this. That was a supreme heavenly deity, yet this young man before him could casually gift one to him. What sort of existence was this exactly? Most probably, this young man has already transcended the mortal world and stood at the peak. If he could reach the cultivation base of this young man in white, most probably, he would be able to fight against the entire Qin clan. I'm sure. Although Qin Wentian's heart trembled, he didn't hesitate at all. Lei was his only younger sister. How could he allow her to die in the world of reincarnation? As for the other matters, he would naturally rely on himself to accomplish them. Fine. The young man in white smiled and nodded. His eyes flashed with a hint of admiration. If it wasn't for his admiration, it would be impossible for Qin Wentian to come here. If Qin Wentian made other requests, maybe, he would look down on Qin Wentian. Among those who came from the supreme ancient immortal realms, there were many people with extremely tough wills and great willpower. Their natures weren't bad and they guarded their hearts, not cultivating evil arts. In fact, for the sake of pursuing the great Tao, they were willing to give up everything and pay an unimaginable price. However, he still chose to let Qin Wentian come here, because Qin Wentian was more in line with his temperament. He had a tenacious heart, but he also had a bloodthirsty impulse. For the sake of his loved ones, he had sunk into madness. For the sake of not harming his friends and the innocent, and to prevent his heart from being bewitched by evil techniques, he was willing to give up everything. He had guided tens of thousands of lightning tribulations into his body and crippled his own cultivation. No matter how strong one was or how high one's cultivation base was, if one could give up everything for the sake of pursuing the great Tao, even giving up kinship, friendship, and even humanity, such a Tao was simply too emotionless. In the outside world, your cultivation base should be at the world overlord realm, right? The next realm would be the heavenly deity realm. What do you think of your cultivation? The young man in white asked. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. He knew that this supreme character before him wanted to guide him. He then spoke. Right now my understanding of the heavenly deity realm is still a little blurry. I once heard that the teachers of the Tiandao Sacred Academy taught me that the so-called heavenly deities are the ones who comprehend the heavenly Tao and control true heavenly Tao energy. However, it's still very difficult for me to see through it. What I can do now is to constantly think of ways to fuse the source origins of my laws together, getting closer and closer to the source of heavenly Tao. What is the heavenly Tao? The young man in white asked. Qin Wentian started. Back then in the Tiandao Sacred Academy, When Qin Dangtian was discussing the Tao with the three heavenly deities, he had also discussed this question. What was the heavenly Tao? Seeing the contemplative look on Qin Wentian's face, the young man in white continued. The cultivation of humans is to advance step by step. Any cultivation realm is merely a matter of strength. The so-called source origins, the so-called comprehension of the heavenly Tao, they are all based on human strength. When you obtain the Tao, you will become the heavenly Tao. There's no need to have too many limitations in your cultivation. You have to dare to think what others don't dare to think. Qin Wentian thought back to the words Qin Dangtian said before. It was similar to what the young man in white said. He sighed silently in his heart. Qin Dangtian was as expected of the heaven's son. His comprehension of the heavenly Tao seemed to be closer to the truth. This was what it meant to be supreme. One should have absolute arrogance and absolute confidence in themselves. The so-called world of reincarnation is merely a type of world. It isn't the true reincarnation that you have imagined. I've never cultivated the power of reincarnation. The young man in white spoke again. He stretched out his hand, and a moment later, the flower petal that reflected the entire world of reincarnation floated towards him, landing in his palm. With a wave of his hand, the flower petal flew towards Qin Wentian. When the flower petal enveloped Qin Wentian, at this moment, Qin Wentian only felt an unfathomable energy descending upon him, causing him to deeply understand how tiny and insignificant he was. That flower petal seemed to be a type of heavenly Tao. A flower, a world. Where my strength lies, this flower petal represents the heavenly Tao. You can do the same as well. You can infuse your Tao into anything. For example, a flower petal, a leaf, a saber, or a sword. Where your strength lies, your Tao lies. Humans are the foundation of the great Tao. Chapter 1847. When Qin Wentian heard the words of the white-robed young man, he felt as though he was enlightened. At this moment he finally understood many of the doubts he had in the past. Jian Junlai had the title of the sword monarch not because he was proficient in the sword. Rather, it was because his sword was his Tao. When Heaven's son Qin Dangtian fought, his surroundings would revolve around him as he unleashed the power of the great Tao. That was the medium for him to unleash his great Tao. Also, there were many innate techniques and great Taos that could be transformed into different Taos depending on the cultivator. This was because the Tao comprehended by each cultivator was different. They were merely borrowing the power of their innate techniques to unleash the might of their Tao. One flower, one world. Even a single petal could contain Tao might. What in the world couldn't contain Tao? As long as one was strong, everything in the world could be used by them. Humans were the foundation of the great Tao. Those who were truly powerful did not need to unleash the might of the Tao to intimidate others. For example, the white-robed young man before them. Just by sitting there casually, he was like the origin of the great Tao. Every single move he made could achieve the Tao. He was the Tao. This was the true peak of cultivation. What you cultivate is the power of source origins, fusing them together to form the great Tao. However, there are a myriad of great Taos. Even for the same source origins, they can fuse different Taos together. Hence, you have to broaden your train of thought, and don't be limited by the foundations of your predecessors. If not, how would you be able to walk down your own Tao? The white-robed young man continued. In addition, even for a single source origin, one can also form the great Tao. When you can reverse time and know the past and future, isn't that the Tao? You cultivate time, space, ceiling, and other types of energy. I saw that you can stop time and life. These are all applications of the great Tao. However, have you ever thought that you could have created even more methods? For example, you could twist and fold space, causing time and space to become chaotic, sealing people within it forever. Qin Wentian's heart trembled. He once cultivated in the 10,000 laws realm, and comprehended many heaven heart mandates. But now that he thought about it, his imagination wasn't bold enough. A casual sentence from the white-robed young man had touched upon a place he didn't dare to imagine. Although what he could think of was already considered very powerful, it was still considered common. He didn't have the courage to jump out of common sense and try to comprehend it. When humans reached a certain cultivation realm, their horizons would naturally transcend. Even the life-governed heavenly deity wasn't able to give him such guidance. From this, one could very well imagine that the cultivation base of this white-robed young man wasn't something heavenly deities could compare to. Most probably, ordinary heavenly deities in his eyes were nothing more than ordinary mortals. The two of them continued chatting about the Tao and strength. The majority of the time, Qin Wentian was the one quietly listening and occasionally asking questions. He knew that such an opportunity was extremely rare. The beauties beside the white-robed young man were all quietly watching this. Their gazes when they looked at Qin Wentian was like they were looking at a junior. That fellow, it has been many years since he guided others like this. Seems like this young man before them was truly to his liking. Maybe it was because the two of them were somewhat similar. In the past, just how bumpy his path was, how much wind and rain he experienced, this was something only they understood clearly. However, he always remained true to his heart, remaining true to his emotions. In the end, only then did he reach the absolute peak. Now he walked through the various worlds, bringing them around the world. Unknowingly, a long period of time passed. Qin Wentian seemed to have entered a meditative state, as though he was in a state of enlightenment, forgetting the passage of time. The white-robed young man before him had already vanished. The beautiful maidens had also vanished. This world was as beautiful as ever, transcendent and transcendent. After a long time, when Qin Wentian opened his eyes, many ancient characters floated before him, transforming into resplendent halos that revolved around him. When Qin Wentian opened his eyes, these ancient characters directly imprinted themselves into his mind. Qin Wentian sensed their intent. After that, he drew in a deep breath and stared at the vanished figure. "Senior, when can we meet again? When you ascend to the peak and enjoy the scenery of the supreme ancient immortal realms, we might meet again." An ethereal voice rang out. After that, Qin Wentian only felt a mysterious energy sending him out. The majestic sacred hall vanished from his vision, and after that, the heavens and earth changed as time flowed in reverse. An unknown energy enveloped Qin Wentian, descending upon this world of reincarnation. When Qin Wentian's figure appeared again, there were many people around him. Those experts from the supreme ancient immortal realms who entered the world of reincarnation were all in the surroundings. In this place, there were only them. Qin Wentian turned his gaze over, like he was searching. Very soon he saw a beautiful figure. It was none other than Luotian Lei. Qin Wentian's silhouette flashed as he appeared before Luotian Lei. At this moment, Luotian Lei was still in a dumbfounded state. She stared at Qin Wentian before her, and glanced at Grandpa Lifeless who was beside her. She felt like she just had a dream. However, this dream was so clear and so real. Her eyes instantly turned red as traces of tears appeared. She had experienced many years in the world of reincarnation, and that was a true lifetime. Everything she experienced was still vivid in her mind. She was betrayed and abandoned by the people of the Luotian clan. She caused Grandpa Lifeless to die. She cultivated an evil art and transformed into an evil devil. She caused her elder brother to fall into a desperate situation. All of these happened in that lifetime. Now, did this nightmare finally end? "Elder brother, Grandpa Lifeless," Luotian Lei called out, her voice causing one's heart to shatter. Qin Wentian walked over and gently pulled her into his embrace. He rubbed her head and smiled. "Layer, everything is in the past now." The cycle of reincarnation reversed. Everything returned to the beginning. However, there was one thing that didn't disappear. That was the memories of this lifetime. They had never forgotten everything they experienced. Maybe, this was the true meaning of the world of reincarnation. Finding one's true self, seeing one's true self clearly, seeing one's true heart. Regardless of good or evil, everything would be completely released in the world of reincarnation. Releasing one's true heart would be extremely beneficial to one's future cultivation. "I'm still alive." Not only was Luotian Lei alive, all the experts from the supreme ancient immortal realms who entered the world of reincarnation were still alive. Naturally, this included Yu Changkong. But very soon, Yu Changkong's face paled as fear appeared on his face. because he saw his martial uncle and two other fellow disciples of the Ziwei divine court walking towards him. Their eyes flickered with cold killing intent. Martial uncle, two senior brothers, I had no choice but to do so. My mind was affected by the evil art. That wasn't my original intention. Yu Changkong spoke. However, his heart was as cold as ice. He was still thinking about how to take the lives of these people. After experiencing everything in the world of reincarnation, his state of heart had also undergone a transformation. The him now was the true him. So this is the case. Seems like I should forgive you? His martial uncle coldly laughed. Yu Changkong had devoured them. Although there was the influence of the evil art, wasn't that what Yu Changkong wanted in his heart? The expressions of the three experts from the Qin clan changed. The expressions of the three experts from the Qin clan changed as they stared warily at Goddess Nikhang and the mystical maiden. Upon seeing Lin Zhao's unkind gaze, their hearts turned cold. They had already died once. What was there for them to fear? They were people of the Qin clan, and after they left this place, it wouldn't be so easy for Lin Zhao to act against them. What they should be thinking about now is how should they explain things to Qin Dangtian. If Goddess Nikhang complained to Qin Dangtian, their consequences would be extremely miserable. The three of them transmitted their voices to each other, thinking of a solution. Very soon, their gazes landed on Qin Wentian. The solution to this situation was none other than Qin Wentian, Qin Yuanfeng's son. Chiang from the Che clan, Gui Chun from the Prison God clan, and Han Sha from the God Extermination Palace. They had nothing to be afraid of. Since they entered the world of reincarnation, it was very normal for geniuses to compete against each other. It would be the same even after they exited. Could it be that a war between heavenly deities would erupt because of this matter? The ones who were truly afraid were Yu Changkong and the people of the Qin clan, because they acted against their own people. This was truly unforgivable. Naturally, Luo Shenlei and Qin Wentian also had unkind gazes when they stared at Luo Shenlei. This time in the world of reincarnation, their relationship could be considered to have completely severed. Most probably, when they returned to their clan, a storm would surely arise. Reverend 7 Abstinences from the Pure Land of Bliss pressed his palms together. Has everything ended? Everything was just the beginning. Right now, their cultivation bases were all restored to their previous cultivation bases. However, they gained an additional lifetime of insights. These insights were all real and could raise their cultivation bases. Not only that, in the world of reincarnation, Qin Wentian had also obtained a truly profound dharma. It was just that right now he still had a doubt. Who was the person who entered the legendary place? Who was that voice from the legendary place speaking to? I wonder who has entered the heavenly sacred hall and entered the legendary place. 7 Abstinences asked. The eyes of everyone flashed as they glanced at the surroundings. No one spoke. Goddess Nichang's beautiful eyes glanced in the direction of Qin Wentian. Maybe, only she and Qin Wentian knew who had entered the legendary place. Since no one replied, let's talk about our grudges after we exit. It has been so many years in the world of reincarnation. I wonder how much time has passed in the outside world. Reverend 7 Abstinences spoke. Everyone nodded and walked out. The 3 experts from the Ziwei Divine Court kept staring at Yu Changkong like they were afraid he would flee. Qin Wentian's hatred for Yu Changkong and the experts from the Qin clan still existed. But he wasn't in a hurry to deal with them. Right now there was no need for him to act. Yu Changkong most probably wouldn't be able to escape this calamity. His gaze turned to Goddess Nikhang. This was the goddess who saved him in the world of reincarnation. However, right now, she was as holy and inviolable as before. It was like she didn't know him and didn't look at him. Thank you. Qin Wentian transmitted his voice to Goddess Nikhang. Goddess Nichang's expression was as calm as ever. She didn't reply. The group of them walked out of this space, and after that, they truly stepped out of the world of reincarnation and returned to the land of the Tiandao Sacred Academy. Everyone felt as though they were separated from the world of reincarnation. Life was like a dream. This world was truly like a dream. Chapter 1848. At the entrance to the world of reincarnation in Tiandao Sacred Academy, Those heavenly deities who entered the sacred academy didn't leave. To them, a single session of meditation could take up to 100 years of time. But from the time these people entered the legendary place until now, not a lot of time had passed. The flow of time inside was different from the outside world. At the instant these figures appeared, the eyes of these heavenly deities all opened, gleaming with sharpness. In an instant, a formless pressure manifested in this space. This was the aura of heavenly deities. Have they finally come out? Right now, they could finally know what sort of place the legendary place of Tiandao Sacred Academy was exactly. The experts who walked out silently moved towards the heavenly deities of their respective factions, each with different thoughts in their minds. The 3 heavenly deities of the Tiandao Sacred Academy were all here. He glanced at the disciples of the Tiandao Sacred Academy who appeared. However, he couldn't see anything from the gazes of these people. How is it? Qin Dangtian was the first to ask. He turned his gaze to the 3 heavenly deities of the Qin clan. He himself also wanted to enter the legendary place, but because of the terrifying energy at the entrance, wanting to destroy his Dao, he didn't enter. However, he still wanted to know what sort of place the legendary place of Tiandao Sacred Academy was exactly. The other heavenly deities turned their gazes to the disciples of their sects or clans. Some of them directly asked while others secretly transmitted their voices to each other. Qin Yuanfeng has a son. An expert from the Qin clan suddenly spoke. He didn't reply to what the legendary place was like but directly said this. Qin Dangtian started. After that, his eyes gleamed with sharpness. As the son of Qin Zheng, he was naturally extremely familiar with the name Qin Yuanfeng. Back then, Qin Yuanfeng, who was killed by the Qin clan, actually had a son? Who? Qin Dangtian coldly spoke. Another expert from the Qin clan turned his gaze to Qin Wentian and pointed at him. Qingqing Realm Lord, Qin Wentian, Qin Yuanfeng's son. In the world of reincarnation, Luo Shenlei referred to him as elder brother. He is the son of Qin Yuanfeng and that demonic maiden from the Luoshan clan. Impudent. The heavenly deity of the Luoshan clan angrily berated. This man actually dared to say that the second miss of the Luoshan clan was a demonic woman? However, right now he was also shocked in his heart. The second miss and Qin Yuanfeng actually had a son? In addition, Luo Shenlei already knew that the famous Qingqing Realm Lord, Qin Wentian, had the bloodline of the Qin clan and Luoshan clan flowing in his veins? For a period of time, the attention of the experts was instantly shifted by the legendary place. Their gazes all landed on Qin Wentian. To heavenly deities, they naturally knew of Qin Yuanfeng. The story of the Qin clan was extremely fascinating, and once caused quite a lot of attention in the supreme ancient immortal realms. Qin Dangtian's gaze landed on Qin Wentian. His eyes were filled with disdain as he calmly spoke. No wonder your gaze is different when you look at me. So it turns out that your surname is actually from my Qin clan. Sadly, a vile spawn expelled by the Qin clan, you aren't worthy to have this surname. Although he was somewhat shocked, he soon regained his composure. So what if Qin Yuanfeng had a son? For ant-like characters, he could kill them with a wave of his hand. Qin Yuanfeng's endurance was truly deep. To think that he actually had a vile spawn. Qin Wentian inclined his head, coldly staring at Qin Dangtian as he clenched his fists tightly. Luo Shenlei stood beside him, staring warily at Qin Dangtian. She silently blamed herself for being too anxious back then. When she saw Qin Wentian in danger, she actually called him elder brother, revealing Qin Wentian's identity. Now that they were in such a situation, killing intent flashed in Qin Wentian's eyes. The people of the Qin clan wouldn't spare her elder brother. Expelled. Qin Wentian coldly stared at Qin Dangtian. Do you know the despicable things your father did in the past? Back then, your father's strength was inferior to my father's. After that, the experts of the Qin clan joined forces and surrounded my father. Do you know? Qin Dangtian's expression froze. The coldness in his eyes grew even more intense as a wave of heavenly Dao pressure bore down on him. I heard that Qin Zheng is now the Qin clan leader. The general of the defeated army is also the Qin clan leader. Yet, the son of the defeated general actually dares to insult my father? How arrogant. It's truly rare to see someone as shameless as you and your father. Also, my surname was given to me by my father. I have no relationship with the Qin clan at all. Qin Wentian continued mocking. He couldn't forget that grudge. Now that his identity was exposed, the Qin clan and Qin Dongtian's killing intent towards him was inevitable. This wouldn't change because of anything else. However, Qin Wentian knew that in Tiandao Sacred Academy, Qin Dangtian wouldn't be able to kill him. There was no other reason but because he entered the legendary place. That white-robed young man in the legendary place, Tiandao Sacred Academy, was created by him. Naturally, even so, Qin Wentian still felt a sense of humiliation. Right now, he could only rely on Tiandao Sacred Academy to protect his life. He couldn't openly stand opposite Qin Dangtian, outside the Qin clan to seek revenge. His heart felt a stabbing pain as his desire to increase his strength rose even higher. Boom! Qin Dangtian lightly stepped out. With just a single step, the heavenly Tao seemed to descend as a stifling pressure bore down on Qin Wentian. But almost at the same instant, the three heavenly deities of Tiandao Sacred Academy stepped out, standing before Qin Wentian. The life-governed heavenly deity spoke. This place is Tiandao Sacred Academy. So what of it? Qin Dangtian coldly spoke. His voice was as arrogant as ever. So what of Tiandao Sacred Academy? The three heavenly deities of Tiandao Sacred Academy have all admitted that they were inferior to him. The heavenly deities of the various major powers in the surroundings watched quietly when they saw this scene. Was the Qin clan going to clash against Tiandao Sacred Academy? Seems like it wouldn't be too late to settle the matter regarding the legendary place later. This grudge of the Qin clan was also extremely interesting. At this moment, another heavenly deity stepped out, walking towards Qin Wentian. He stared at Qin Wentian and asked, "Are you really the son of the second miss?" Qin Wentian didn't know what the second miss meant by that. But Luo Shenlei knew that the second miss this heavenly deity was referring to was none other than Qin Wentian's mother, her aunt. He is my elder brother. My father also knows of this matter, and has already met with my elder brother. It's just that he hasn't announced it yet. Luo Shenlei spoke. The eyes of that heavenly deity flashed with a dazzling light. He stood beside Qin Wentian and turned his head back, staring at Qin Dangtian. No matter what attitude their Luoshan clan had towards Qin Wentian, the son of the second miss must definitely not be killed by the Qin clan here. Tiandao Sacred Academy doesn't matter. But Tiandao Sacred Academy will never allow anyone to behave atrociously here. The life-governed heavenly deity coldly spoke. Qin Dangtian was simply too impudent. Didn't you guys hear it earlier? This man has already admitted that he is the son of a traitor of my Qin clan. I naturally have to bring him back. Could it be that Tiandao Sacred Academy wants to interfere in my clan's matters? Qin Dangtian unyieldingly spoke. It was like he wanted Qin Wentian for sure. If he is in your Qin clan, you can naturally do whatever you want to him. But Qin Wentian is a disciple of my Tiandao Sacred Academy. If he is in the Sacred Academy, it is the matter of my Sacred Academy. The life-governed heavenly deity naturally wouldn't compromise. If he allowed Qin Dangtian to capture Qin Wentian, how would his Tiandao Sacred Academy still have the face to preach the Tao in front of everyone in the world? A student of their school was forcefully brought away. This was no longer something that could be described as humiliation. This wasn't only to protect Qin Wentian, it was also to protect the Tiandao Sacred Academy. What if I say that I want him for sure? Qin Dongtian's body revolved around him as a surge of Tao might erupted forth. In an instant, the sky changed color as the experts in the surroundings all retreated, opening up a path for him. This Qin Dangtian was truly arrogant enough. He actually wanted to capture someone in the Tiandao Sacred Academy, starting a war against the heavenly deities of the Tiandao Sacred Academy. The three heavenly deities of the Tiandao Sacred Academy didn't say anything. They similarly unleashed their heavenly might. For a period of time, the entire sky and earth trembled. If a deity-level battle erupted in the Sacred Academy, what would the situation be like? Descendants of the Qin clan, are you also lacking in upbringing? At this moment, a voice rang out from the void. Upon hearing this voice, the eyes of the three heavenly deities flashed. After that, A relaxed expression appeared on their faces. Since this old man has arrived, all problems would naturally no longer be a problem. Impudent. Qin Dangtian inclined his head. His gaze penetrated through the void, staring up at the sky. Which rat dares to humiliate my Qin clan? Since the people of the Qin clan have no upbringing, let me teach you a lesson on behalf of your elders. Another voice rang out. After that, the heavens and earth rumbled as the sky trembled. The crowd inclined their heads and stared at the sky. An unexcelled heavenly might bore down from the sky, and everyone saw a gigantic palm imprint. This palm imprint seemed to be the hand of the heavens. It traversed through the air and pressed down on Qin Dangtian. Qin Dangtian's eyes gleamed with divine light. The heavenly Tao halos around him radiated an unexcelled might. Each of the halos was like an ancient character, representing a type of heavenly Tao energy. These ancient characters blasted towards the gigantic palm imprint in the air. However, that gigantic palm imprint bore down with irresistible might. All the heavenly Tao energy that collided with it was completely destroyed. The ancient characters crumbled as the hand of the heavens directly smashed towards Qin Dangtian. Boom! Qin Dangtian soared up into the air. The power of his bloodline also erupted forth at this moment. The ancient characters radiated a startling divine light, piercing through the sky as they frenziedly blasted towards the hand of the heavens. However, it was useless. All the ancient characters were destroyed. Qin Dangtian sensed that something was wrong. He retreated, traversing 1,000 miles with a single step. However, the hand of the heavens followed him like a shadow, directly descending upon him, directly grabbing him in the airspace above the Tiandao Sacred Academy. After that, he was grabbed by the hand of the heavens. Qin Dangtian struggled frenziedly, but he had no way to break free. The descendants of the Qin clan have no upbringing at all. From now onwards, all the descendants of the Qin clan are not allowed to take half a step into the Tiandao Sacred Academy. Although the Tiandao Sacred Academy offers education without discrimination, we won't teach those who have no upbringing. In the air, the voice rang out, containing a domineering tone. After that, the hand of the heavens blasted out. In an instant, Qin Dangtian was flung far away from the Tiandao Sacred Academy. A heavenly deity, a peak-level heavenly deity, Heaven's Son Qin Dangtian, was flung out like an ant just like that. Within the Tiandao Sacred Academy, all the heavenly deities felt their hearts trembling. A Tao inheritance ground that could stand tall for countless years in the supreme ancient immortal realms. How could they be humiliated so easily? The heavenly deities here all thought of a person. Other than the mysterious headmaster of the Tiandao Sacred Academy, most probably no one else had such power. Didn't a few of you hear? In the future, no one is allowed to take half a step into the Tiandao Sacred Academy in the Qin clan's territory. The life-governed heavenly deity stared at the disciples of the Qin clan as he coldly spoke. The experts of the Qin clan felt extremely humiliated, and all of them turned and left. When the people of the Tiandao Sacred Academy saw this scene, they felt joy in their hearts. They finally managed to vent some of their resentment, returning the humiliation the Qin clan brought to their Tiandao Sacred Academy in double. The humiliation today, I Qin Dangtian will remember it. In the future, I will definitely return to the Tiandao Sacred Academy tenfold. An incomparably angry voice rang out from afar, shaking the heavens and earth. That was Qin Dangtian's voice. He felt humiliated and unwilling. He was a heavenly deity of the Qin clan, yet he was thrown out of the Tiandao Sacred Academy, like an ant. This was a great humiliation. His life was a legend. From the moment he grew up until now, how glorious was his life. There was no blemish on his record, and he was known as Heaven's Son. But today, this scene would be recorded down by history. This was a humiliation he would never be able to wipe away. Chapter 1849. The experts from the Qin clan were expelled by the Tiandao Sacred Academy. The expressions of the other experts flashed. Before this, the Tiandao Sacred Academy was pressured by the various peak powers, and finally compromised to open the legendary place, allowing the experts from the various peak powers to enter. Most probably, the The Qin clan must be filled with resentment in their hearts. Since everyone wanted to enter the legendary place, my Tiandao Sacred Academy opened the door and allowed the disciples of the various peak powers to enter. Now that everyone has exited, can you all leave now? The life-governed heavenly deity spoke. Clearly, this was an order for them to leave. Many peak powers came here to suppress them. There was no need for them to be polite. Right now, the various peak powers have already achieved what they wanted. What else did they want to do to the Tiandao Sacred Academy? Even if they really wanted to do something, they would have to consider the mysterious headmaster who had yet to appear. We have disturbed the Sacred Academy. We will bid our farewell now. The Reverend from the Pure Land of Bliss bid his farewell. After that, the Buddhist cultivators all pressed their palms together and bowed to the Tiandao Sacred Academy before departing. Grandmasters, please take care. The life-governed heavenly deity replied, returning the courtesy. After that, the various experts respectively left. There was no meaning in staying any longer. At the same time they left, the heavenly deities inquired about what happened in the legendary place. This was the first time the legendary place of the Tiandao Sacred Academy was open to the public. They naturally wanted to know what was inside exactly. Goddess Nikhang also silently departed, not leaving behind a single word. Qin Wentian watched as her silhouette vanished. She didn't turn her head back at all. Qin Wentian could only keep that gratitude in his heart. The last ones who didn't leave were the experts from the Luotian clan. The eyes of the two world overlords from the Luotian clan flashed. It could be said that they had completely fallen out with Luotian Lei. It was just that before this, they didn't know that Qin Wentian had the bloodline of their Luotian clan in his body. When Qin Wentian's identity was exposed, they had already died in the hands of Luotian Lei in the world of reincarnation. Now that they learned of this, many thoughts flashed through their minds. The fuse for the conflict between their Luotian Lei's faction was none other than that incident in the past. One could say that it was because of Qin Wentian's parents. Right now, the descendant of the main character actually appeared. The heavenly deity of the Luotian clan stared at Qin Wentian, wanting to see through him. Elder brother, I will return to the Luotian clan first. Luotian Lei spoke to Qin Wentian. Now that Qin Wentian's identity was revealed to the world, there were some things she had to report to her maternal grandfather. She wanted to see what attitude the Luotian clan had exactly. Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian nodded. Qin Wentian nodded. As he spoke, he coldly glanced at the other two world overlords of the Luotian clan. In the world of reincarnation, the conflict between them intensified. With a heavenly deity present, they naturally wouldn't be able to fight. But after they returned, there would surely be a storm in the Luotian clan. For this matter, his maternal grandfather, who was also Lei Er's grandfather, most probably wouldn't let this matter rest. I know. Luotian Lei nodded. She naturally understood Qin Wentian's meaning. World Overlord Lifeless also cast a deep glance at Qin Wentian. After that, the group of people from the Luotian clan departed. Before that heavenly deity left, he still stared at Qin Wentian. There were many questions in his heart, and he could only find out about them through Luotian Lei. Very swiftly, the experts from the various regions all left. Even for Devilox, he left together with the people from the Divine Ox clan. He had truly offended Qin Wentian deeply. Divine Sound World Overlord was very unhappy with him. If he continued to stay in Tiandao Sacred Academy, it wouldn't be beneficial to him. Divine Sound World Overlord was much stronger compared to him, and Qin Wentian's current strength most probably wouldn't be inferior to him. Other than cultivating the evil arts, the strength Qin Wentian comprehended in the world of reincarnation would also be available to him after he returned to the real world. Back then during the battle in the world of reincarnation, before Luotian Lei imparted the evil arts to Qin Wentian was already extremely powerful. The storm seemed to have ended just like that. However, no one knew what the consequences of what happened in the legendary place would be. Outside Tiandao Sacred Academy, there were still countless experts gathered. There were also guests from all directions in Daoask City. Right now, seeing the major powers leaving, all of them were trying to find out what happened in the Sacred Academy. However, only those from the peak powers knew the truth. Clearly, the news wouldn't circulate so quickly. After Qin Dangtian was flung out of Tiandao Sacred Academy, he was still in Daoask City. He transmitted his voice, telling the 3 experts from the Qin clan to meet up with him. At the same time, he transmitted his voice to goddess Nikhang. Nikhang, let's return to the heaven region together. No need, I will return by myself. Goddess Nikhang calmly replied. Qin Dangtian frowned, but he didn't say anything. He replied, that's fine as well. Be careful on the way back. The experts from the Qin clan rushed over to meet up with him. Qin Dangtian then asked, tell me about it. He was naturally asking about what happened in the legendary place. As for Qin Wentian, he would temporarily put him aside and let him live a little longer. The legendary place is a world of reincarnation. After we entered, we seem to have tens of years of memories. Also, the world inside is very similar to the outside world. We were also born in a dual-faction Qin aristocrat clan. As for the other Qin clan, Qin Wentian was born there. At that time we were all puzzled. If the world of reincarnation reflected reality, why would he be born in the dual-faction Qin clan? Only after that did we know the reason. An expert coldly spoke. After that, they told Qin Dangtian about what happened in the world of reincarnation. After Qin Dangtian heard everything, his eyes flashed with a strange light. Could it be that the creator of the legendary place knows heaven's will and the fate of all lives? Also, even now, you guys still don't know who it was that entered the sacred palace in the sky? No idea, no one admitted to it. However, there's one more thing that I don't know if I should tell you or not. An expert from the Qin clan solemnly spoke, feeling somewhat hesitant. Qin Dangtian glanced at him and calmly spoke, speak. His tone caused the experts from the Qin clan to feel uncomfortable in their hearts. Qin Dangtian could be considered their junior, but there was nothing they could do about it. He was a heavenly deity, the heaven's son. Also, he had always been like this. Even when he was humiliated by the Tiandao Sacred Academy not long ago, his arrogance didn't change. Goddess, there's an unclear relationship between her and Qin Wentian in the world of reincarnation. An expert spoke. Qin Dangtian's eyes gleamed with sharpness as he stared at him. What did you say? Nikhang has a connection with that vile spawn? Yes, this matter is absolutely true. The relationship between the two of them in the world of reincarnation most probably wasn't ordinary. Because of this, we had some conflicts with goddess Nikhang. But since we returned to the outside world, we can forget about everything. After all, she is a woman you hold in high regard. Another expert spoke. Clearly, the 3 of them had discussed this beforehand. If not, if Qin Dangtian learned of their dirty thoughts in the world of reincarnation, the consequences would be extremely dire. However, given goddess Nichang's personality, it was impossible for her to take the initiative to complain about such a matter. If Qin Dangtian really had suspicions, given his pride, he wouldn't ask directly. There was a very high chance that this matter could be covered up. Qin Dangtian's eyes flashed with sharpness. With regards to the words of the experts from the Qin clan, he believed them a little because he knew some things that they didn't. Goddess Nichang's grandfather, Chu Shen, was not only acquainted with his grandfather, Qin Ding. Chu Shen was also acquainted with that vile spawn's grandfather, Qin Tiangang. No wonder Nikhang wanted him to return alone. Was it because of this as well? Let's return first. Qin Dangtian coldly spoke. After that, the group of them left, preparing to return to the Qin clan of the Heaven region first. They still had to report the existence of that vile spawn to their father. Right now, they still didn't know the age of that vile spawn. They needed to know when he was born, and from there, they would be able to deduce some things. If that vile spawn didn't cultivate for a very long time, this meant that the person who should have died might not have died yet. If that vile spawn didn't die, things would truly be interesting. The people from the Ziwei Divine Court also left. The junior apprentice brother of that heavenly deity, as well as his 2 disciples, all surrounded Yu Changkong, forming a triangular formation, surrounding him. This scene caused that heavenly deity to understand that something must have happened in the legendary place. Before they got too far, that heavenly deity calmly spoke. What's the matter? Speak. Senior brother. His junior apprentice brother, Yu Changkong's martial uncle, wanted to speak, but Yu Changkong directly knelt on the ground. Master, disciple became a beggar in the world of reincarnation and suffered endless humiliation. I was bewitched and cultivated an evil art that could devour the cultivation bases of others. After that, I encountered martial uncle and 2 senior brothers. Because my mind has long been corrupted by the evil art, I decided to act against martial uncle and senior brothers. Disciple's crime deserves 10,000 deaths, and I don't dare to beg for mercy. I only hate that I can no longer receive Master's teachings. I beg Master to grant me death. You still have the face to say this? Yu Changkong's martial uncle stared at the figure kneeling on the ground. His killing intent grew sharper. Was Yu Changkong trying to gain sympathy? Did he treat them as fools? Senior brother, even if he was bewitched by the evil art, it's not to the extent where he can't be controlled. Yu Changkong has the heart to destroy his ancestors. For the sake of strength, he is willing to do anything. Since he wishes for death, senior brother, let's grant him his wish. That hegemonic level world overlord spoke. Master, Yu Changkong deserves death. The other 2 also spoke. They didn't obtain anything in the world of reincarnation because they died too early. Everything was given to them by Yu Changkong. Evil art? The heavenly deity frowned. What's going on? What happened in the legendary place? Senior brother, the legendary place is a world of reincarnation. When we entered the Moon God Hall, it was similar to the Ziwei Divine Court. There are many evil spirits sealed in the world of reincarnation that can bewitch the hearts of people, causing them to cultivate evil arts. Yu Changkong cultivated an evil art. What happened after that? The heavenly deity asked. The eyes of the others froze. They had no way to reply. They were all killed by Yu Changkong early on. All of us were killed by that vile creature. We have no idea what happened after that. That hegemonic level world overlord felt somewhat ashamed. They made a wasted trip to the world of reincarnation and didn't even know what happened there. Speak. The heavenly deity glanced at the kneeling Yu Changkong. Disciple doesn't wish to explain anything. After committing such a crime of disrespect, I only wish for death. Master, please grant me death. Yu Changkong knelt on the ground, lowering his head as though he was begging for death. The heavenly deity frowned. Get up first. Senior brother. That hegemonic level world overlord called out. Disciple doesn't dare to. Yu Changkong knelt. I want you to get up and tell me everything in detail. That heavenly deity coldly spoke. Although this disciple of his had a sinister and despicable nature, his methods were much more outstanding compared to his junior brother and the other 2 disciples. If not, he wouldn't have killed them so easily. Such a person might be able to accomplish great things, but he was also someone who wouldn't even recognize his own family. Chapter 1850. Several months later, some of the things that happened in the Tiandao Sacred Academy circulated through the supreme ancient immortal realms. So it turned out that in the legendary place of the Tiandao Sacred Academy, there was actually a world called the World of Reincarnation. Over there, everything had to start from the beginning, and it could test one's temperament. It was rumored that in the world of reincarnation, Yu Changkong of the Ziwei Divine Court cultivated an evil art and caused a storm of blood. It was rumored that in the world of reincarnation, the siblings from the Luotian clan killed each other. Before Luotian Lei died, she called out the true identity of the Qingqing Realm Lord. He was none other than the son of the Qin clan's Qin Yuanfeng and Luotian Lei's daughter. It was rumored that in the world of reincarnation, after Qin Wentian obtained the evil art, he fought against everyone and killed the 3 experts of the Qin clan, killing Yu Changkong. In the end, it was goddess Nikhang who saved him. All of these rumors grew more and more intense in the supreme ancient immortal realms. The story of Lin Xiao and the mystical maiden caused people to discuss enthusiastically. As for the story between Qin Wentian and goddess Nikhang, it caused the hearts of many to be filled with endless fantasies. One must know that goddess Nikhang was someone heaven's son Qin Dangtian regarded highly. What sort of character was heaven's son Qin Dangtian? He was the son of Qin Zheng, and was also Qin Yuanfeng's clan brother back then. In that case, Qin Dangtian and Qin Wentian were born to be enemies. Right now, Goddess Nikhang appeared between the two of them. How could people not wonder about such a story? The name of the Qingqing realm lord, Qin Wentian, truly appeared on the stage of the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms. Everyone in the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms was very familiar with him. After the Qin clan learned of Qin Wentian's origins, they immediately gave the order to investigate everything about Qin Wentian. Very soon, they found out that Qin Wentian came from Azure Mystic, and he was very young. When he participated in the convention of the Myriad Realms, he had cultivated for less than 1,000 years. The Qin clan concluded that Qin Yuanfeng was still alive. The Qin clan immediately gave the order, sending experts below the World Overlord realm to Azure Mystic to investigate. Right now, the seal on the Azure Mystic Immortal Realms hasn't been completely lifted yet. For those who could head there, the strongest would only be Empyreans. Although their Qin clan wasn't afraid of trouble, they didn't wish to antagonize that ancient being. To the Qin clan, Qin Wentian, who was at the World Overlord realm, wasn't important now. He wouldn't be a threat to them. But if Qin Yuanfeng and his wife didn't die, they had no choice but to treat them seriously. The Luotian clan naturally also learned of everything. At this moment, in the Luotian clan of the desolate region, on the peak of an ancient mountain, a figure stood there with his hands behind his back. His figure was tall and straight, resembling a pine tree. He casually stood there, yet he gave off a sense of imposingness, like he was a towering mountain. This figure had jet black hair, but there were white hairs on both sides of his temples. He looked at the churning sea of clouds. Behind him, there were two silhouettes, a male and a female. The male seemed somewhat weak while the female was extremely young and beautiful. These two were none other than Luo Shenyu and Luo Shenlei, father and daughter. Since she has always been here, why didn't she come back to see me after so many years? That figure standing with his hands behind his back spoke. His voice was filled with the vicissitudes of time, like he had seen through everything in the world. She might have her own difficulties. The Qin clan is the same as us. They don't know that Qin Yuanfeng didn't die back then. In that case, the reason why she didn't appear should be because she wanted to protect herself. Luo Shenyu spoke. She even wants to hide this from me, her father? How ruthless, wiping away all immortal senses to transmit messages. That figure spoke again. He slowly turned around, revealing his angular face. He looked even younger than his son Luo Shenyu. His eyes seemed to have a penetrative power that could see through everything in the world. Luo Shenchuan, the current clan leader of the Luotian clan, Luo Shenyu's father. And you have also learned to hide things from me. He stared at Luo Shenyu as he spoke. Father, I didn't do this intentionally. Luo Shenyu lowered his head. What are you worried about? Are you afraid that I would harm him? Luo Shenchuan spoke. Don't forget that I'm his maternal grandfather. My blood flows in his veins as well. Luo Shenyu still lowered his head. Luo Shenchuan sighed in his heart. He naturally wouldn't continue to make things difficult for his son. He spoke in a light voice. You guys have already met him. How is he? Father already knows about the things that happened in the convention and the legendary place of the Tiandao Sacred Academy. I'm sure you all know about it. His talent isn't inferior to his parents. If he is given enough time, he would definitely become a great character. Luo Shenyu spoke. I want to meet him. Luo Shenchuan calmly spoke, his words causing Luo Shenlei's beautiful eyes to flash. Her heart involuntarily trembled. Her grandfather wanted to meet her elder brother as well? Father, about the clan. Luo Shenyu was somewhat hesitant. After Luo Shenlei returned, she brought back news that a disciple of the Luotian clan actually betrayed her in the world of reincarnation. Because of this matter, some trouble arose in the clan. Right now, the relationship between the two factions was in an extremely sensitive period. I'm still the clan leader of the Luotian clan. Luo Shenchuan's words interrupted him. He glanced at Luo Shenlei. Ask him when he can come to the Luotian clan. Now. Luo Shenlei started. Yes, ask him now. I want to know the answer. Luo Shenchuan nodded. Luo Shenlei's beautiful eyes glanced at her father Luo Shenyu. Upon seeing Luo Shenyu nodding to her, she took out her messaging crystal, and sent a strand of her immortal sense in. Elder brother, where are you now? Azure Mystic. A voice rang out in Luo Shenlei's mind, causing her beautiful eyes to freeze. Lower world, Azure Mystic Immortal Realms. Her elder brother actually came down to the lower world? Lei, what's the matter? Qin Wentian's voice rang out again. Luo Shenlei glanced at her grandfather as her gaze turned heavy. She then transmitted her voice back. Elder brother, Grandpa said that he wants to meet you and wants you to make a trip to the Luoshan clan. Luo Shenlei knew that Qin Wentian needed some time to think. I will be in closed-door seclusion for a period of time. After I exit, I will return to the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms. At that time, I will make a trip to the desolate region. A moment later, Qin Wentian transmitted his voiceover. Luo Shenlei nodded lightly and replied, Okay, I will tell Grandpa about this. After speaking, Luo Shenlei kept her messaging crystal. Luo Shenchuan kept his gaze on her, as though waiting for her answer. Grandpa, elder brother said that he has already descended to the lower world, and is in the Azure Mystic Immortal Realms. He is preparing to enter closed-door seclusion, and might only return to the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms after he exits. At that time, he will come to the Luoshan clan. Luo Shenlei spoke. Luo Shenchuan didn't feel surprised when he heard Luo Shenlei's words. His expression was as calm as ever. He already knew that Qin Wentian came from Azure Mystic and grew up until now. You feel the pressure and know that you have to cultivate well? Luo Shenchuan calmly spoke. Let's hope things will be like what you all hope for. You guys should be clear about what sort of power the Qin clan is. As he spoke, he stepped out and departed, leaving behind Luo Shenlei and her daughter, who were exchanging mutual glances. Seems like Grandpa really cares about elder brother. Luo Shenlei mumbled. Azure Mystic Immortal Realms, Heaven Empyrean City, in the Emperor Palace. This place was the absolute center of authority in the Azure Mystic Immortal Realms. Even if Qin Wentian wasn't here, the Emperor Palace in Heaven Empyrean City still possessed an incomparable amount of influence. This was because the master of this place was none other than the Heaven Empyrean. Qin Wentian naturally wouldn't lie to Luo Shenlei. Right now he was in this Emperor Palace. Back then, after the matter with the Tiandao Sacred Academy was concluded, he silently returned to the Qingqing realm and made arrangements there. After that, he brought his people and returned to the Azure Mystic Immortal Realms. Although their cultivation bases already surpassed Empyreans, they were originally people of Azure Mystic and naturally wouldn't be restricted by the seal. In addition, Qin Wentian, who could faintly guess some of the secrets of Azure Mystic, understood in his heart that it was impossible for the person who sealed Azure Mystic to act against them. Right now, the future of ancient Azure Mystic rested on them. As for why he was in such a hurry to return, it was because Qin Wentian knew that the Qin clan would investigate him. In addition, the Qin clan would definitely send people here to investigate him. As long as he was here, he wouldn't care about the Qin clan's investigation. Now that his identity was already exposed, there was no difference no matter how they investigated him. In any case, the Qin clan wanted to kill him no matter what. However, he wouldn't give the Qin clan such a chance so easily. Other than this, there was another reason. He wanted to stabilize his cultivation base and increase his strength. Right now, he truly needed to enter closed-door seclusion to improve himself, and come back to see if his family and friends were still fine. The him now was still far from having the ability to face the Qin clan head-on. He could only avoid them. This was very embarrassing. He wanted nothing more than to slaughter his way into the Qin clan. However, no matter how embarrassing it was, he had to endure it. It was very simple to send himself to death, but after he died, who would avenge his father's death? Who would care about his family and friends? After cultivating for so many years and experiencing so many things, he had long since passed the age of being hot-blooded and impulsive. In the courtyard of the Emperor Palace, Qin Wentian sat there as a strange light flashed in his eyes. His grandfather, whom he had never met before, wanted to meet him, and wanted him to head to the Luoshan clan. Since informed him, this meant that his grandfather, whom he had never met before, shouldn't have any ill intentions towards him. After all, blood was thicker than water. His grandfather could be considered his closest kin. He had to go to the Luoshan clan no matter what. He naturally wanted to meet his grandfather, but now wasn't the time. "Boss, you are back." A commotion rang out from outside. After that, Qin Wentian saw Fatty Fanlo, Ouyang Quangxing and a group of familiar figures walking over. Right now, all of them had messaging crystals on them. The news of Qin Wentian's return naturally couldn't be hidden. Most probably, only Qin Wentian and his friends would be able to enter the Emperor Palace unhindered. "Fatty, why isn't there a little fatty between you and Xuanqin?" Qin Wentian laughed. "Don't talk about me, look at yourself." Fanla spoke in disdain. "Oh yeah, after I return this time, boss, help me raise my strength. I just want to break through to the ancient emperor realm." Qin Wentian's face was filled with black lines when he heard Fatty's words. Ouyang Quangxing mocked. "Given your pitiful talent, I'm afraid you won't have a chance." "Ouyang, why do you want to try?" Fanla was unconvinced. Ouyang Quangxing laughed in disdain, angering Fanlu even further. He really wanted to fight. Qin Wentian, Mo Qingqing and the others all had smiles on their faces when they saw the commotion in front of them. Qin Wentian then spoke. "Prepare a banquet tonight and help me invite everyone to the Emperor Palace. We won't return until we're drunk." "Yes, Heaven Empyrean." Someone outside bowed. Not long after, Ouyang Quangxing, Fanlu, Qin Chuan, Yi Qingyun, Bai Wuya, Jun Mengchen, the Southern Phoenix Matriarch, Namhuang Yunxi, Mustang, Yi Lingshuang and many other familiar faces appeared in the Emperor Palace. Chapter 1851. There were countless lives in the 33 immortal realms. 100 years passed by in the blink of an eye. For those powers that stood at the peak of the immortal realms, it was like they were eternal, they wouldn't decay. There were countless lives in the supreme ancient immortal realms. Many major events would happen every day, affecting the fates of countless people. But when placed in the perspective of the entire supreme ancient immortal realms, these events were insignificant. Back then, many people who walked out from the legendary place in the Tiandao Sacred Academy all underwent a transformation, growing at a shocking rate. It was said that Reverend 7 abstinences from the Pure Land of Bliss had already seen through the secrets of the heavenly Taos, and was only a step away from becoming a true divinity of the Buddhist Tao. Not only for Reverend 7 abstinences, Han Sha from the God Extermination Palace, Chaing from the Che clan, Lin Xiao from the Qiankuan sect, and the others all improved greatly. This caused countless people to feel a sense of longing for the legendary place in the Tiandao Sacred Academy. However, who was it that had truly stepped into the legendary sacred temple back then? Many people guessed that it was Reverend 7 abstinences. Occasionally, people would also think of Yu Changkong from the Ziwei Divine Court. He devoured his fellow sect members in the world of reincarnation, cultivating an evil art. After he came out, how could the heavenly deities of the Ziwei Divine Court spare him? No one knew what his fate was. However, Yu Changkong seemed to have vanished without a trace. There was no news of him and many people guessed that he had already died, executed by the Ziwei Divine Court. Qin Wentian also vanished. However, everyone felt that Qin Wentian's disappearance was very normal. Since his identity was exposed, the Qin clan wouldn't spare him. It was naturally impossible for him to appear again. Maybe he was hiding in the Tiandao Sacred Academy in closed-door seclusion. Unless his cultivation base reached a certain level, he most probably wouldn't dare to step out of the Tiandao Sacred Academy. However, Qin Wentian's enemies, the Qin clan, knew that Qin Wentian wasn't in the Tiandao Sacred Academy. He was an Azure Mystic instead. Their people had been monitoring the Azure Mystic Immortal Realms and the Qingqing Realm. They knew everything about Qin Wentian's movements like the back of their hands. Naturally, they didn't know that Qin Wentian not only went to Azure Mystic, he even went to the ancient battlefield. The Eastern Royal Immortal Realms in the lower world of the 33 Immortal Realms was governed by the Donghuang clan, a subordinate power of the Ziwei Divine Court. In this world, the Donghuang clan was the master, looking down on all lives. Recently, the Eastern Royal Immortal Realms wasn't peaceful. Many people died mysteriously. In fact, a few days ago, An ancient city in the Eastern Royal Immortal Realms was filled with experts who died mysteriously. After they died, even their corpses disappeared. That city became a city of death. The people of the Eastern Royal Immortal Realms were all filled with panic. The Donghuang clan sent experts out to investigate this matter, but the experts they sent out didn't return at all. They completely vanished without a trace. This matter caused the Donghuang clan to feel that things were extremely troublesome. It was very possible that a devil from the supreme ancient immortal realms had descended to the lower realms to harm the people of the world. Just when the Donghuang clan was feeling uneasy, the figure of a young man appeared in the majestic Eastern Royal Palace. This person claimed that he was Dong Huangying's fiancé and wanted to marry Dong Huangying. This matter instantly startled the upper echelons of the Donghuang clan. Dong Huangying was naturally alarmed as well. Both of them stepped out of their residences, and when they saw the person who came, they discovered that this person was none other than the person who deceived the world back then, Yu Changkong. He didn't die. Not only did he not die, he even appeared in their Eastern Royal Immortal Realms and came to the Eastern Royal Palace. Dong Huangying's expression was extremely unsightly. She stared at Yu Changkong and asked, "What are you doing here? Why, your man is here but you don't welcome him?" Yu Changkong smiled. Dong Huangying's expression turned extremely unsightly. Right now there were too many rumors about Yu Changkong. He was a complete bastard. Not only did he deceive the world, he was also extremely ruthless and ruthless. The people of the Donghuang clan wanted to know more about Yu Changkong. Their expressions suddenly changed as they asked, "You were the one who massacred the entire city? Are you cultivating an evil art?" A faint smile appeared on Yu Changkong's face. After that he stepped out and appeared beside Dong Huangying, hugging her slender waist. Dong Huangying wanted to dodge, but how could she do so? Yu Changkong easily succeeded. He hugged her tightly as he spoke. "A day as husband and wife means 100 days of love. Why, are you so heartless? Release her." Dong Huangying's father stepped out. His aura surged as a powerful heaven heart mandate gushed forth, enveloping Yu Changkong. Yu Changkong's eyes flashed with coldness. An evil smile appeared on his face as he stared at his opponent. After that, the temperature in the air suddenly turned cold as a crescent moon appeared. Moonlight cascaded down, enveloping this entire space. "I'll let you experience the power of lunar eclipse that I've comprehended." Yu Changkong smiled as he stared at Dong Huangying's father. After that, the crescent moon actually turned pitch black as a terrifying beam of light landed on Dong Huangying's father. After that, Dong Huangying's father fell into absolute darkness as he was slowly devoured by the crescent moon. The expressions of the people in the surroundings changed. Dong Huangying called out in shock, "Father!" The pitch-black crescent moon was like a ghost moon, extremely demonic. It slowly devoured Dong Huangying's father. "Yu Changkong, our Donghuang clan is a vassal of the Ziwei Divine Court. How can your master spare you for doing this?" A person roared, "My master!" Yu Changkong suddenly laughed uproariously. His eyes turned extremely cold. "In the future, my master naturally won't have any objections if I take control of the Eastern Royal Immortal Realms. I'm his disciple after all." As the sound of his voice faded, Dong Huangying's father's body completely vanished into the devil crescent moon. The evil arts of the world of reincarnation were only suitable for the world of reincarnation. It was rumored that this evil art was imparted to Yu Changkong by an evil spirit because of the unique cultivation conditions of the world of reincarnation. However, that evil art allowed Yu Changkong to see himself clearly, knowing what path he should walk. He found his own cultivation art, and used the insights he gained in the world of reincarnation to comprehend a brand new power. Although this power wasn't as tyrannical as the evil arts in the world of reincarnation, he had absolute control over it. In addition, it would only grow stronger as he comprehended more and more. As for his master, he wasn't worried at all. Right now, the fact that his master was still alive was the best proof. Yu Changkong was very clear in his heart that his master was a lofty heavenly deity. He wasn't some kind character. "You are my woman. In the future, as the overlord of the Eastern Royal Immortal Realms, I will naturally dote on you well." Yu Changkong stretched out his hand and gently caressed Dong Huangying's pale face, as a strange smile appeared on his face. At this moment, Dong Huanging felt incomparable hatred for herself. She was the one who summoned this devil. Right now, in the entire Eastern Royal Immortal Realms, there was no one who could deal with him. In the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms, in the desolate region, a sword was currently soaring through the air. This sword was extremely large, and there was actually the shadow of a great rock revolving around it, causing its speed to be extremely fast. It could traverse 1,000 miles in an instant, and an incomparably handsome young man could be seen standing on the sword. He had black hair and white robes. On his shoulder, there was even a snow-white puppy that looked extremely adorable. This young man was naturally none other than Qin Wentian. Just when the people of the Qin clan thought that he was still an Azure Mystic, he had already silently left the Emperor Palace and returned to the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms. In fact, he even came to the desolate region of the Supreme Ancient Eight Regions. Qin Wentian naturally knew that the Qin clan would keep an eye on him. His matter in Azure Mystic wasn't a secret. Since the Qin clan already knew of his identity, it would be very easy for them to find out about it. It was also very simple for him to escape. Di Tian was still there. There was no way for him to escape. Also, this time around, he only brought Little Rascal with him. As for the others, they were all cultivating in the ancient battlefield of ancient Azure Mystic. Oi, Demon Sword. Didn't you boast about how awesome you are? Why is your speed so slow? Why don't I do it instead? The astral wind gusted over. Little Rascal felt extremely comfortable, but he was still grumbling. My strength needs to be strengthened by my master. The stronger the energy that enters my body, the stronger I will be. The demon sword calmly replied. Che, doesn't that mean we still have to rely on Wentian? What's the use of you? Why are you still boasting about how the heavens are too low? Right now, the heavens of the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms are already high enough, right? Little Rascal spoke in disdain, as though he was intentionally angering the demon sword. What do you know? All the Daos and innate techniques in the heavens and earth can all be unleashed by me. The demon sword was unconvinced. Qin Wentian laughed when he heard the two of them arguing. Demon sword, don't listen to this little rascal's nonsense. He is intentionally angering you. Humph. The demon sword coldly snorted. Qin Wentian laughed. No matter what divine weapon the demon sword was in the past, it helped him to slay the Pill Emperor Hall and save Qingcheng. It also helped him reverse the demonic divinity sacrificial transformation art. Now it was time for him to repay it, allowing it to accompany him as he soared through the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms. This desolate region is truly desolate. There are demonic beasts everywhere. There's nothing much for humans to live in. Little Rascal spoke. Isn't this place very suitable for you? Qin Wentian smiled. In ancient times, the desolate region has always been a paradise for demonic beasts. In this desolate region, there's only a mountain range of demonic beasts. Even until now, other than the Luotian clan, the other two peak powers, the Demon God Mountain and the Divine Ox clan, are all demonic beasts. As for Luotian Lei, she also cultivated demonic energy. Wentian, you can be considered the young master of the Luotian clan. Why don't you take over the Luotian clan in the future? I'll take over the Demon God Mountain and destroy the Divine Ox clan. In the future, the desolate region will belong to us. What do you think? Little Rascal's immature voice actually spoke such tyrannical words. This caused people to feel a little strange. This fellow truly dared to dream. Although the Luotian clan was his mother's clan, it wasn't up to him to control it. Stop talking nonsense. Look at the map. How far are we from Luo City? Qin Wentian asked. Luo City was none other than the location of the Luotian clan. It was the main city of the Luotian clan. It doesn't seem to be that far away. We should be arriving soon. Little Rascal mumbled. A man, a demon and a sword sped through the airspace of the desolate region. Finally, the location Little Rascal pointed out was about to arrive. A month later, Qin Wentian arrived at Luo City, a majestic ancient city located in the desolate region. The moment he stepped into Luo City, he could see a towering ancient mountain standing at the peak of the city. Even when he was extremely far away from Luo City, he could still see the illusory silhouette of the ancient mountain. It was like a divine mountain. That mountain was named the Luotian Mountain, the place where the Luotian clan was located. Chapter 1852. Luo City was incomparably flourishing. It was located in the surroundings of the Luotian Mountain in the center of Luo City. The Luotian Mountain wasn't a mountain, it was a mountain range. However, this mountain range no longer had the shadow of a mountain. Other than looking majestic from afar, if one were to look at it up close, this mountain range was filled with majestic ancient palaces. There were countless of them, stretching for millions of miles. As a hegemonic power of the desolate region, the Luotian clan has existed for countless years. Although the population of the Luotian clan is considered lesser compared to the other hegemonic powers, it was still extremely vast. The Luotian mountain range was like a majestic city on top of a mountain peak. At this moment, Qin Wentian stood at the foot of the Luotian mountain. There were many people here on a pilgrimage, staring at the Luotian mountain with reverence in their eyes. This was a hegemonic power of the desolate region. There were even heavenly deities residing there. Qin Wentian inclined his head. When he thought of the fact that his mother was born here, a sense of closeness involuntarily appeared in his heart. Was this the place where his mother grew up? Most probably, his mother would often roam the mountain range. A light smile appeared in Qin Wentian's eyes. After that, he walked up the mountain with the demon sword behind his back. Little Rascal was still lying on his shoulder, curiously surveying the majestic city on top of the mountain range. At the entrance of the Luotian clan, there were experts guarding it. The two words Luotian could be seen engraved on it, not corroded by the passage of time. The guards here all had extraordinary cultivation bases. When they saw Qin Wentian ascending the mountain, they immediately said, "The Luotian clan is a place where strangers are not allowed to enter." Qin Wentian smiled and nodded to them. After that, he took out his messaging crystal and contacted Luotian Lei's immortal sense. "Lei, I've arrived." "Elder brother, you have arrived?" Luotian Lei's shocked voice rang out in his mind. "Where are you now?" Clearly, Luotian Lei didn't know that Qin Wentian was coming. Before this, Qin Wentian didn't tell her and directly rushed to the desolate region. One man, one demonic beast, one sword. "The Luotian Mountain." Qin Wentian replied. Luotian Lei started. After that she replied, "Elder brother, wait for me." "All right." Qin Wentian replied with a single word. After that, he casually stood there and waited. When the people in front of the mountain gate saw that he seemed to be sending a message to someone, and when they saw how extraordinary Qin Wentian's aura was, they guessed that he might have some acquaintances in the Luotian clan. All of them curiously surveyed Qin Wentian. In the Luotian clan, a group of young men and women descended the mountain. When they passed by the mountain gate, all of them exuded an extraordinary aura. They were both handsome and beautiful. As members of the Luotian clan, they exuded a faint sense of nobility and pride. When they saw Qin Wentian standing at the side, they curiously glanced at him. A young man from the Luotian clan spoke. "If you are here to pay your respects, just stand at the foot of the mountain. There's no need to block the entrance." The Luotian clan could be considered a sacred ground in the surrounding regions. There were many people who came here to pay their respects. Qin Wentian could also understand the status of the Luotian clan. To ordinary people, even for immortal emperors, it was impossible for them to imagine what a hegemonic power the heavenly deity clan was. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that it was a sacred ground. Back when he was in the Azure Mystic Immortal Realms, before he entered the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms, he was already at the Immortal Emperor Realm. At that time, what did the heavenly deity clan in the upper world mean to him? He simply didn't dare to imagine. But now, with the passage of time, gradually, even when he stood before the entrance of the heavenly deity clan, he didn't feel too great of a fluctuation in his heart. Although there were some fluctuations in his heart, it was only because this was the place where his mother was born. "No, I'm here to look for someone." Qin Wentian shook his head and smiled. These young men and women shouldn't be very old. Their cultivation bases were at the Empyrean Realm and Immortal Emperor Realm. They should be the younger generations of the Luotian clan. Looking for someone? A beautiful young woman smiled. Who are you looking for? Do you know someone from my Luotian clan? I'm looking for a friend. Qin Wentian smiled. Don't tell me they are here to curry favor with our Luotian clan? Among them, a young man with a proud and cold expression spoke. His tone was filled with disdain. There were too many people who wanted to curry favor with their Luotian clan. Upon sensing the sense of superiority from that young man, Qin Wentian's smile remained on his face. As a disciple of the Luotian clan, it was very normal for them to be proud. However, this group of young men and women clearly didn't have much experience in tempering themselves. They revealed their thoughts too easily. It was fine if they were disciples of the Luotian clan, but if they went out, they would surely be at a disadvantage. What's the name of your friend? Let me see if I know him or not. That beautiful young woman from earlier smiled and asked. She was somewhat curious as to who this young man was looking for. The pet on his shoulder was extremely adorable, causing people to like it. Luotian Lei, Qin Wentian. When they heard this name, the group of young men and women started. After that, they all burst out laughing. You are still so serious when you are lying. It's like you are telling the truth. That young woman laughed. You can leave. We won't pursue this any further. That young man from earlier calmly spoke, wanting Qin Wentian to leave this place. Luotian Lei? What a joke. Miss Lei was a true descendant of the Luotian clan. It was rare for them to even meet her normally. This man actually lied and claimed that he was a friend of Miss Lei? He must be crazy, not knowing the immensity of the heavens and earth. Qin Wentian was speechless. He shook his head and turned his gaze to the top of the mountain. He saw a few figures flying over with great speed. The person in the lead exuded an incomparably magnificent magnificence, and was incomparably beautiful. This person was none other than Luotian Lei. Those young men and women from the Luotian clan also turned their heads at this moment. Their gazes involuntarily froze. Miss Lei? Lei. After not seeing her for 100 years, Lei's aura grew more and more outstanding. Clearly, she had improved a lot during these 100 years. Luotian Lei's speed was extremely fast. With a flash, she appeared beside Qin Wentian. She stretched out her hand and held onto Qin Wentian's hand, causing the gazes of the people around them to freeze. What situation was this? Miss Lei already has someone she likes? Also, that person directly came up to the Luotian mountain? Elder brother. Luotian Lei gently called out. Back then in the world of reincarnation, they had experienced life and death together. The relationship between them as siblings had already risen to a higher level. Although they didn't grow up together, they still felt extremely close to each other. They were like real siblings. Lei, you seem to have grown more beautiful. Qin Wentian smiled at Luotian Lei. Not at all. Elder brother, let's go up the mountain. Luotian Lei pulled Qin Wentian's arm and walked forward, entering the mountain gate together, leaving behind a few people who were still in a daze. Elder brother? When did Miss Lei have an elder brother? In the Luotian clan, although she had many clan brothers, she would never address them so intimately. Very soon, they thought of a rumor from 100 years ago. After that, their hearts trembled violently as they exchanged mutual glances, feeling great waves in their hearts. It's him, he came. Let's go. Their silhouettes flashed. They didn't descend the mountain, but chose to return the way they came from. They knew that something major might happen in the Luotian clan. Back then, the matter between Qin Yuanfeng and the second miss of the Luotian clan caused a huge commotion, affecting the entire Luotian clan. This caused the Luotian clan to suffer an extremely heavy blow, and even now, the clan leader's position was shaken. Right now, the son of the second miss of the Luotian clan has returned to the Luotian clan. Qin Wentian followed Luotian Lei up the mountain, heading straight for the peak of the Luotian mountain. As the granddaughter of the current Luotian clan leader, the daughter of the Skyordar heavenly deity, Luotian Lei's residence was undoubtedly at the peak of this mountain range. However, on their way up the mountain, the news of Qin Wentian's arrival started to circulate rapidly in the Luotian clan. Many people were using messaging crystals to spread the news. 100 years ago, Qin Wentian's name had already caused a huge commotion in the Luotian clan. His identity was extremely sensitive, and his talent was extremely similar to his father back then. Many years ago, that legendary young man, Qin Yuanfeng, had ascended the Luotian mountain before. After so many years, his son finally arrived. It was like a cycle of samsara. In a courtyard at the peak of the Luotian mountain, ancient trees and pavilions could be seen everywhere. In this place, Qin Wentian met his uncle again. This was the second time he met Luo Xinyu. His uncle was still as weak as ever. When Qin Wentian saw him, he thought of the Qin clan and Qin Dangtian. A cold intent could be felt in his heart. A lofty heavenly deity was reduced to a cripple. What sort of torment and pain was this? It was simply unimaginable. Wentian, you finally came. A happy smile appeared on Luo Xinyu's wrinkled face. The son of his younger sister finally came to the Luotian clan. Uncle. Qin Wentian bowed. There's no need to be like this. Take a seat. Luo Xinyu waved his hand. I've heard about the incident in the world of reincarnation 100 years ago. I heard Lei talking about how glorious you were back then. If your mother knew about this, she would surely be very happy. In the world of reincarnation, I wasn't able to protect Lei well, causing her to almost not be able to return. Wentian is ashamed. Qin Wentian sighed. That's all in the past. Right now, isn't Lei fine? Also, after experiencing a life and death battle, her improvements during these 100 years have been very great. I heard from her that when she entered the world of reincarnation, the memories that appeared in her mind said that if she died in the world of reincarnation, she would really die. But why was she fine in the end? Do you know what happened after that? Luo Xinyu asked. A legendary place appeared in the world of reincarnation. I entered it. Qin Wentian spoke. Luo Xinyu started before he laughed uproariously. Good. I see. I heard that everyone in the immortal realms is guessing who was the one who entered the legendary place in the world of reincarnation. I didn't expect it to be you. You must have encountered some good fortune. Elder brother, even the legendary place has acknowledged you. In the future, you would definitely be able to stand proudly at the top of the supreme ancient immortal realms. Luo Xinlei also felt happy for Qin Wentian. The legendary place in the Tiandao Sacred Academy existed only in the legends. Her elder brother actually managed to enter it. Just as they were speaking, a commotion suddenly rang out from outside. After that, a wave of immortal senses directly gushed over. Luo Xinyu frowned. This was outrageous. If it was in the past, no one in the Luotian clan would dare to be so impudent. Qin Wentian also frowned. A look of unhappiness could be seen on his face. The invasion of immortal senses was extremely impolite. However, the other party didn't just use immortal senses to invade. Very swiftly, there were people who directly barged in. World Overlord Lifeless wanted to stop them, but Luo Xinyu spoke. Let them in. Very swiftly, several experts appeared here, coldly staring at Qin Wentian. It seemed that they came with ill intentions. Clearly, not everyone in the Luotian clan was as friendly as his uncle. Chapter 1853. Luo Xinyu inclined his head and coldly stared at the people before him. However, the current him clearly didn't have much of a deterrent force. The gazes of these people were all fixed on Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian didn't expect the news to circulate so quickly. He didn't turn his head to look at them, and continued quietly sitting in front of Luo Xinyu. Little rascal who was on his shoulder was surveying these experts from the Luotian clan. You are Qin Yuanfeng's son, Qin Wentian? A person stared at Qin Wentian as he spoke. Qin Wentian's back was still facing the other party. Is there a problem? These people barged in and weren't polite at all. There was naturally no need for him to be polite to them. Seeing that Qin Wentian didn't even bother to turn his head, a world overlord coldly laughed. As expected, he is as arrogant as he was back then. Like father, like son. Luo Xinyu, you are the one who summoned him to the Luotian clan? Luo Xinyu inclined his head and stared at the person who asked. World Overlord Lifeless and Luo Xinlei who were beside him all had cold looks in their eyes. These people were from another faction in the Luotian clan. They were extremely powerful, and had a lot of authority in the Luotian clan. Right now, they could already stand on equal grounds with the current Luotian clan leader, Luotian Chuan. In fact, they even wanted to force Luotian Chuan to abdicate. Yes, so what about it? Luotian Yu calmly asked. Back then, your younger sister Luotian Qianxue and Qin Yuanfeng implicated the Luotian clan. Isn't it enough? You yourself are also a cripple because of this. Now you even summoned this young man here. What are your intentions? That world overlord spoke again. His tone was extremely impolite. Qin Wentian's gaze turned cold when he heard the other party calling Luotian Yu trash. At the same time, he silently sighed in his heart. He didn't expect that the internal strife in the Luotian clan had already reached such a serious state. Although Luotian Yu was crippled, he was still a heavenly deity. Even if his cultivation base was ignored, his identity was still the son of the Luotian clan leader. This world overlord didn't even show the most basic respect, and directly called him a cripple. This could be considered as shedding all pretense of cordiality. When world overlord Lifeless heard this, a cold intent gushed forth from him as he stepped out. Lifeless? Luotian Yu called out, stopping him. Half of his blood is from the Luotian clan. Is there a problem for him to come to the Luotian clan? Luotian Yu stared at Qin Wentian. There's naturally a problem. Half of the Qin clan's blood flows in his body. The matters in the past were never acknowledged by our Luotian clan. For the sake of his parents, our Luotian clan has already paid a huge price. Now you even summoned him here. Luotian Yu, are you intentionally trying to harm our Luotian clan? That world overlord coldly spoke. Luotian Yu, the Luotian clan isn't the Luotian clan that belongs to your bloodline. Back then, wasn't it enough for his parents? Now are you going to allow this vile spawn to continue wreaking havoc in the Luotian clan? Another person coldly spoke. Our Luotian clan will no longer bear the burden of a vile spawn. Since he is here, let's just send him to the Qin clan and end this grudge. As the sound of his voice faded, the atmosphere instantly turned cold. The words of this person were even more impolite compared to earlier, directly insulting Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian was a vile spawn. This was equivalent to insulting his parents as well. Also, back then Qin Wentian's mother, Luotian Qianxue, was the second miss of the Luotian clan. Qin Wentian slowly stood up. After that, he turned and stared at the person who spoke. Upon sensing the coldness in Qin Wentian's eyes, that person actually felt a sense of danger. His eyes narrowed as a hint of wariness appeared in his eyes. Qin Wentian stepped out towards that person as a formless pressure bore down on him. After that, the gazes of everyone turned to Qin Wentian. Although their words were impolite, they heard that Qin Wentian was extremely powerful. Back then in the legendary place of the Tiandao Sacred Academy, Qin Wentian's performance was extraordinary. With a light cry, a sword slashed out. A beam of sword light shot out, causing the entire space to freeze. Vile creature, you dare? Those people roared in rage when they saw Qin Wentian directly pulling out his sword. Powerful auras gushed forth, but at the instant Qin Wentian pulled out his sword, time and space seemed to have frozen. Their movements became incomparably slow, as though they were about to stop moving. The sword light appeared. This sword light seemed to be able to stop time, descending at an inconceivably fast speed. That world overlord who insulted Qin Wentian only felt his entire body stiffening as a chill engulfed him. When he saw the sword light piercing through space, at this instant, the coldness permeated his entire body, causing him to break out in cold sweat. Chi. An extremely light piercing sound rang out. That person only felt a chill on his neck as a resplendent beam of sword light landed right in front of him, stopping right in front of his neck. But as long as Qin Wentian willed it, that beam of sword light would instantly penetrate through his throat. The movements of the rest of the people involuntarily stopped. The void instantly became silent. Their gazes were fixed on that sword light. This sword light had the power to stop time and space. This sword light stopped just like that, but its might didn't diminish in the slightest. Who did you say is a vile spawn earlier? Qin Wentian calmly asked. However, his calm voice contained an extreme coldness, causing everyone to feel a chill in their hearts. Since the conflict between the factions in the Luotian clan has already escalated to such an extent, Since the other party could directly insult his uncle as trash and call him a vile spawn, what did it matter if he retaliated? If others take a step forward and you take a step back, the other party would only take a yard after taking an inch. The sword light sliced through his throat, wanting to penetrate it at any moment. However, that world overlord's expression turned extremely cold. Qin Wentian just came to the Luotian clan, and he actually dared to be so impudent to him? Do you know what place this is? That world overlord coldly spoke. He didn't believe that Qin Wentian would dare to kill him. Qi. The sword light continued forward, penetrating through his throat. That world overlord could clearly feel the coldness. Fresh blood flowed unceasingly from his throat. You dare? The eyes of the experts in the surroundings were all extremely cold. All of them radiated an extreme coldness, surrounding Qin Wentian. This was simply too arrogant. Back then, even Qin Yuanfeng wasn't so brazen and arrogant. Insulting my uncle, insulting me, insulting my parents. I'll only ask you one more time. Who is the vile spawn? You or me? Qin Wentian continued. The sword light continued forward, slowly moving towards that world overlord's throat. That world overlord only felt a chill from his head to his feet. If this continued, that sword light would really be able to take his life. But no matter what, he was still a world overlord of the Luotian clan. Wanting him to admit that he was a vile spawn? How humiliating was this? He was still struggling. Fresh blood flowed from his throat, seeping into his body. His throat felt that it was very hard for him to speak. The Grim Reaper was getting closer and closer. Space seemed to have frozen. No one expected Qin Wentian to be so tyrannical. Also, his strength was so strong. Qin Wentian acted. With just a single sword strike, he wanted to slice the world overlord's throat. Luo Shenyu and Lifeless also stared at this scene. Their hearts weren't calm. They didn't expect Qin Wentian to act so decisively. However, this scene didn't cause Luo Shenyu to feel fear at all. On the contrary, he felt joy in his heart. Right now he was already a cripple. Luo Shenlei still had a very long path ahead of her. When he saw his younger sister's son being so glorious, he naturally felt joy in his heart. Qin Wentian was so young and arrogant. Given his talent and strength, how could he not act when others insulted him and his parents? I'm talking about myself. That world overlord closed his eyes and spoke in agony. When he spoke, his body was trembling. At this moment, Luo Shenyu knew that his Dao heart could be considered destroyed. This strike from Qin Wentian would be something he would never be able to forget, tormenting him forever. This strike had crushed his Dao heart and his soul. This was the price he had to pay for his insulting words. Since you know you are a vile spawn, why are you still not scramming? The sword light flashed. Qin Wentian coldly spoke. That world overlord retreated, but as expected, the sword light didn't continue forward. That world overlord roared loudly and turned to leave. That roar of his was filled with boundless humiliation. He didn't have the face to continue staying here. The experts in the surroundings all stared at Qin Wentian. But at this moment, they didn't say anything and were very quiet. That scene earlier was too shocking. No one wanted Qin Wentian to draw his sword again. Let me make this clear. I came to the Luotian clan not because I want to curry favor with the Luotian clan. I'm only here to visit my uncle and younger sister. If the Luotian clan is willing to accept me, I can treat the Luotian clan as my kin. If not, I have no connection with the Luotian clan. There's no need for you all to worry about my matters. Naturally, the Luotian clan doesn't have the right to hand me over. I am myself, Qin Wentian. If anyone dares to be disrespectful to me, my sword will show no mercy. As the sound of Qin Wentian's voice faded, the demon sword returned to its sheath. Also, if I hear anyone saying the word cripple again, I will turn that person into a cripple. Qin Wentian added. These words were naturally said for his uncle, Luo Shenyu. Back then, because of his parents, his uncle was crippled by Qin Dangtian and was humiliated by others. Since his parents were no longer around, he had to protect his uncle. The expressions of the people in the surroundings changed when they stared at Qin Wentian. Their gazes were complicated. Qin Wentian's single sword strike shocked everyone. Also, he wasn't as arrogant as they imagined him to be. He was arrogant but didn't lose his rationality. He was strong and had a sense of responsibility. Qin Wentian expressed that he had nothing to do with the Luotian clan. The people he was in contact with were only his uncle and younger sister. The Luotian clan naturally didn't have the qualifications to decide his fate. World Overlord Lifeless stared at Qin Wentian as admiration could be seen in his eyes. His master paid a huge price for Qin Yuanfeng's parents. Being able to see his son in such a state, it could be considered a form of consolation, right? Luotian Lei's eyes were slightly red. Luotian Yu stared at the back view of Qin Wentian as a warm smile appeared on his wrinkled face. His aged eyes were slightly moist at this moment. This was the son of his younger sister, his nephew. He would definitely surpass his parents in the future and support the heavens and earth. He came to the Luotian clan not to rely on others. He came here to visit his family. That was all. Chapter 1854. Qin Wentian's words were extremely domineering, ringing out in the ears of everyone. The experts of the Luotian clan in the surroundings stared at him. Clearly, they didn't expect Qin Wentian to be so powerful to this extent. A powerful world overlord couldn't even withstand a single strike from him. In this case, if they wanted to humiliate or target Qin Wentian, they wouldn't be able to gain any benefits. Leave. An expert waved his hand and spoke. After that, they retreated. Very swiftly, everyone flashed and vanished from sight, leaving behind only Qin Wentian and his group. This caused Qin Wentian to feel somewhat surprised. Qin Wentian turned his head and stared at Luotian Yu. I initially thought that they would continue to pester me. The vast majority of the time, they would continuously weaken the strength of the other faction to strengthen themselves and find an opportunity to deal with the other faction. After they knew that you came, they immediately came here and insulted you, wanting to deal with you. This was merely an excuse. They wanted to use you as a breakthrough point in the Luotian clan's power struggle to suppress you. However, they didn't expect that their morale would be suppressed instead. They naturally wouldn't continue to stay here and become a joke. Although Luotian Yu's cultivation base was crippled, how could he not see through such a small matter? He calmly spoke. However, this matter clearly wouldn't end so quickly. They wouldn't give up so easily. I'll just accept it. They wouldn't send out heavenly deities from the Luotian clan to deal with me, right? Qin Wentian calmly smiled. If this was the case, that would truly be a joke. In a battle for power, everyone has to rely on their own methods. If they send out heavenly deities to deal with you, they would have already lost this battle. Luotian Yu shook his head. Clearly, this was impossible. Naturally, heavenly deities wouldn't act, but there was no problem for them to interfere. Bring him to the Thousand Snow Palace. At this moment, a voice suddenly rang out from the sky, ringing out in the ears of Luotian Yu and Qin Wentian. This voice was ethereal, like it came from beyond the heavens. Qin Wentian's expression froze. He had already guessed the identity of the person who spoke. Luotian Yu stood up and spoke to Qin Wentian. The Thousand Snow Palace is the place where your mother used to live. Let's go and take a look. Yes. Qin Wentian nodded. After that, Luotian Yu and Luotian Lei led the way, bringing Qin Wentian to a quiet courtyard at the peak of the mountain range. This place was very vast, but it was also very quiet. The environment was extremely beautiful, and there were many towering ancient trees, like witnesses to the passage of time. Ancient trees, pavilions, fake mountains and ponds, everything was quiet and tranquil. This place was none other than the Thousand Snow Palace. Once, this was the place where Luotian Qianxue resided. Staring at the grass and trees here, Qin Wentian felt a sense of closeness in his heart. Was this the old residence of his mother? Most probably in the past, she was a heaven chosen who had no worries or worries, a young miss of the Luotian clan. Her talent was outstanding and she had an extremely beautiful life. However, everything changed after she met his father. No wonder his father would feel guilty, saying that he had let his mother down. Originally, she could have ascended to the heavens and grabbed the sun and moon, yet she chose to follow him to roam the world. But his mother had no regrets because of the love in her heart. Naturally, Qin Wentian wouldn't forget the instigator of all this, the Qin clan. If not, even if his parents roamed the world, they would still be able to live happily and wouldn't have to flee, not daring to show their faces. Qin Wentian quietly stared at every corner of this place. Luo Xinyu, who was at the side, spoke. There are people coming here to clean up every day, but they have never touched anything before. Everything is maintained in its original state. Maybe your grandfather hopes that she would be able to return one day. Qin Wentian sighed in his heart. In this world, how many parents wouldn't dote on their children? Even if his grandfather didn't approve of his parents' marriage, there was no need to doubt his feelings for his mother. At this moment, under an ancient tree in front of Qin Wentian, a figure could be seen quietly standing there. This figure was as straight as the ancient tree, exuding vigor and vigor. When Qin Wentian stared at this back view, it felt like he was looking at a towering mountain. However, the hair on this mountain had already turned white. He knew that the person before him should be none other than his grandfather, the clan leader of the Luoshan clan, Luoshan Chuan. Halting his steps, Qin Wentian quietly stared at that back view. He didn't say anything, but Luo Xinyu called out, "Father." "Grandfather." Luo Xinlei also called out. Luo Xinchuan turned and stared at Qin Wentian. His eyes were extremely deep as a powerful might instantly enveloped Qin Wentian. It was like heavenly might, pressing down on Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian could feel this heavenly might. He only felt an incomparably heavy pressure, wanting to suffocate him. However, he already stood straight and stared at the figure before him, not making a sound. "Grandfather." Luo Xinlei's expression changed. However, she only saw Luo Xinchuan stepping out as an even more terrifying heavenly might gushed over. Qin Wentian only felt that his body was about to collapse. He stood there, but it felt like he was carrying the weight of the entire sky on his back. It was incomparably heavy. "I heard from Lei, or that you have never met your parents before. Are you an orphan raised by others?" Luo Xinchuan stared at Qin Wentian. "Yes." Qin Wentian nodded. That immense pressure was still present. "Do you know who the person I hate the most in my life is?" Luo Xinchuan spoke again. Qin Wentian shook his head. "It's your father." Luo Xinchuan coldly spoke. "It's your father who snatched my daughter away, causing her to wander the world in misery. She had to run away from home, and was even hunted down by your father's clan. Right now, my son was also crippled by the Qin clan because of your father's mistake. Tell me, should I hate him?" "You should." Qin Wentian's grandfather, Luo Xinchuan, had a reason to hate his father. Every single sentence Qin Wentian said was sufficient to make him hate his father. "I hate him, but now I can't find him. Tell me, what should I do?" Luo Xinchuan asked. "A son must pay his father's debts. How do you want to treat my father?" "You can take revenge on me." Qin Wentian spoke. "Take revenge on you?" Luo Xinchuan coldly laughed. "But my daughter's blood flows in your veins. If I hurt you, she would surely hate me. Since this is the case, grandfather, what do you want me to do? As long as I can do it, I will definitely repay my father." Qin Wentian knew that this was a debt his father owed. The Qin clan owed his father, but his father owed the Luoshan clan. Or more accurately, he owed Luo Xinchuan. When Luo Xinchuan heard the word grandfather, his heart involuntarily trembled. That powerful heavenly might also fluctuated, as though it couldn't bear to continue suppressing him. "I want you to cripple Qin Dangtian, find your mother, and bring her back to the Luoshan clan. Can you do it?" Luo Xinchuan asked. "I'll do my best," Qin Wentian replied. Luo Xinchuan said that he wanted to cripple Qin Dangtian. Clearly, he wanted Qin Dangtian to suffer the pain Luo Xinyu suffered. Qin Wentian would definitely do it, he had to do it. As for bringing his mother back, he was also thinking about it. If his parents were still alive, where would they be? The pressure on Qin Wentian suddenly vanished. He instantly felt relaxed. Luo Xinchuan carefully surveyed the young man before him. From Qin Wentian, it was like he could see the shadow of his daughter. How could he truly act against Qin Wentian? It was true that he hated Qin Yuanfeng, but this young man before him was his grandson. "After your mother left this 1,000 snow palace, no one has stayed here before. But since you are here, You can stay here then. If your mother knows about this, I'm sure she wouldn't have any objections. Luo Shenchuan's voice grew much calmer. It was only natural for Qin Wentian to stay in the Thousand Snow Palace. He was her son. He naturally had the qualifications to stay here. Only now did Luo Shenlei heave a sigh of relief as a smile appeared on her face. Usually, outsiders weren't even allowed to enter the Thousand Snow Palace. But her grandfather allowed her elder brother to stay here. In truth, he had already acknowledged her elder brother. Although his words were cold, he had always wanted to see his grandson in his heart. If not, why would he allow Qin Wentian to stay here? Allowing Qin Wentian to stay in the Thousand Snow Palace was naturally because he hoped that Qin Wentian would temporarily stay on the Luoshan mountain. MHM. Qin Wentian nodded lightly. Is there really no news at all about your mother? Did she leave behind any clues? Luo Shenchuan's voice grew gentler and gentler. When he spoke, a look of hope could be seen in his eyes. Sadly, Qin Wentian still shook his head. How could he not want to find his parents? Elder brother, I heard that Qianshua's son is here. Since he is in the Luoshan clan, why don't you let everyone meet him? At this moment, a voice rang out, referring to Luo Shenchuan as elder brother. Being able to converse directly with the clan leader of the Luoshan clan, one could very well imagine the identity of this person. As expected, upon hearing this voice, Luo Shenyu and Luo Shenlei both frowned. Clearly this person didn't have good intentions. Elder brother, it's Luo Shenmu, an extremely powerful character in the Luoshan clan. He is the one who wants to seize authority, seizing grandfather's position as the clan leader. Right now his faction has many vassal clans supporting him. Luo Shenlei transmitted her voice to Qin Wentian. Back then when we entered the legendary place of the Tiandao Sacred Academy, there were 4 experts from the Luoshan clan in the world of reincarnation. There's no need to say much about me and Grandpa Lifeless. As for the other 2, they belong to that faction. Because of what happened in the world of reincarnation, Grandfather publicly taught the 2 of them a lesson after they returned. Most probably, they still remember this grudge and want to find an opportunity to take revenge. Qin Wentian silently nodded. Back then, the 2 of them betrayed Luo Shenlei. It was already a taboo. Most probably, when his grandfather ordered people to teach them a lesson, the people from their faction had nothing to say. Now he came to the Luoshan clan and just taught an expert from the Luoshan clan a lesson. Clearly, the other party wouldn't give up just like this. Even a heavenly deity appeared. Most probably, they wanted to make use of this opportunity to make things difficult for him. If you wish to meet them, there's naturally no problem. Where do you want to meet them? Luo Shenchuan calmly spoke. I will gather the people from the various factions of the Luoshan clan for a meeting. Luo Shenmu spoke. Since he said this, there was no longer a need to mention the location. Gathering the people from the various factions of the Luoshan clan. This clearly meant that they wanted to create a huge commotion. Up to you. Luo Shenchuan's voice was as cold as ever. Since the other party wanted to do something, he would accompany them. Right now, the Luoshan clan was still under his control. Chapter 1855. Heaven Region Qin Clan. A majestic ancient palace towered into the clouds. On the stone steps, a figure wearing a violet gold crown and embroidered robes could be seen, exuding the might of the heavens and earth. If Qin Wentian was here, he would surely recognize this person. In his father's memories, this person had appeared many times before. Qin Zheng, the current leader of the Qin clan, the father of heaven's son Qin Dangtian. He stood on the stone steps with his hands clasped behind his back. Just by standing there, he seemed like the Lord of heaven and earth. A figure suddenly appeared at the bottom of the stone steps. This figure also exuded a transcendent aura, like he was one with the heavens and earth. This person was none other than a heavenly deity of the Qin clan. Clan leader is looking for me? This heavenly deity's name was Qin Zheng. He has already been at the heavenly deity realm for many years, but before Qin Zheng, he still had to maintain respect even though he was Qin Zheng's elder. Uncle Zheng, I have a matter that I need to trouble you to make a trip. Qin Zheng spoke. Qin Zheng was his clan uncle. Right. Qin Zhong nodded. He didn't ask what was the matter. I originally should have sent Dang Tian over for this matter. However, Dang Tian suffered some setbacks back then in the Tiandao Sacred Academy, and has yet to exit his closed-door seclusion. I can only trouble Uncle Zhong to make a trip. Qin Zhong calmly spoke. Qin Zhong didn't mind. Clan leader, just speak your mind. MHM. Qin Zhong nodded. The Luoshan clan sent a message saying that Qin Yuanfeng's son is currently in the Luoshan clan. Head there, and bring him to the Qin clan. Qin Zhong's eyes flashed as he curiously asked, Clan leader, the Luoshan clan actually sent a message to the Qin clan. Right now, the internal strife in the Luoshan clan is extremely serious. Luoshan Mu wants to seize control of the Luoshan clan. The strength he controls is already comparable to Luoshan Chuan. It's just that he still needs the support of a few old fellows. Hence, he needs an opportunity. His attitude is that after he controls the Luoshan clan, he will resolve the grudges between us and the Qin clan. Qin Zhong replied. So if I head to the Luoshan clan, I only need to use the name of the Qin clan to capture the traitor's son, and Luoshan Mu will naturally cooperate? Qin Zhong asked. It's fine as long as he can restrict Luoshan Chuan's side. The few old fellows of the Luoshan clan have long lost their sharpness, and don't wish to continue fighting against our Qin clan. If Luoshan Chuan forcefully interferes, he wouldn't be far from the lower echelons. Qin Zhong casually spoke, as though he knew everything. All right, I'll set off right away. Qin Zhong nodded. Hurry up and use the fastest way to get there. Qin Zhong spoke. Qin Zhong turned and departed. If they delayed, there might be unforeseen circumstances. They naturally had to hurry to the Luoshan clan in case Qin Wentian left. If Qin Yuanfeng was still alive, in that case, he would most probably appear after they captured Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian, who was in the Luoshan clan, had no idea what happened in the Qin clan. He also didn't expect that someone from the Luoshan clan would actually send news to the Qin clan. After all, the grudge between the Luoshan clan and the Qin clan had a very long history. They were originally enemies. At this moment, Qin Wentian arrived at a gigantic public square on the Luoshan mountain. Not only him, many experts from the various branches of the Luoshan clan had gathered here as well. All of them were characters with some status in the Luoshan clan. And at this moment, Qin Wentian could clearly sense the conflict between the various factions in the Luoshan clan. The public square was split into two camps. One of the camps was led by the current clan leader of the Luoshan clan, Luoshan Chuan. And on the opposite side of the public square, an extremely imposing heavenly deity appeared. It was none other than Luoshan Mu. Behind Luoshan Mu, experts were as common as clouds. The number of experts gathered here was much more compared to Luoshan Chuan's side. In addition, Qin Wentian also saw the two world overlords who entered the world of reincarnation together with Luoshan Lei. His eyes flashed with coldness. These two betrayed Luoshan Lei in the world of reincarnation. And it was precisely because of that incident that caused the internal conflict of the Luoshan clan to escalate to this extent in the next 100 years. In fact, the experts of the Luoshan clan had already started to take sides, putting the conflict on the surface, no longer concealing anything. Luoshan Mu's gaze locked onto Qin Wentian with a single glance. After he sat down, he spoke to Qin Wentian. You are Qianshua's son, right? I didn't expect you to grow so big in the blink of an eye and have such a high cultivation base, able to easily suppress powerful world overlords. Do you still remember the days when Qianshua grew up in the clan? How outstanding was she then? Sadly, she took the wrong path. This Luoshan Mu's voice contained no anger at all. It was like he was speaking to a junior of the clan. How did he seem to be targeting Qin Wentian? As expected of a heavenly deity, his ability to maintain his composure had reached the point of perfection. Junior Qin Wentian pays his respects to Senior. However, I can't agree with Senior's words. From what I know, my mother has never walked the wrong path before. What Senior thinks is wrong doesn't mean that it is wrong. Qin Wentian calmly replied, neither servile nor overbearing. What you said makes sense. Luoshan Mu nodded lightly. However, many people around him had unfriendly gazes when they stared at Qin Wentian. This was especially so for those experts who came to Luo Shanyu's residence earlier. They all knew that Qin Wentian was extremely arrogant and had no one in his eyes. He basically didn't have the people of the Luoshan clan in his eyes at all. However, I heard that earlier you had some conflict with the people of the Luoshan clan. You said that you came to the Luoshan clan to visit your uncle and younger sister, and have no connection with the Luoshan clan. Is that right? Luo Shanmu asked. Yes. Qin Wentian nodded. That's not right. I'm sure you also know about the matters in the past. Our Luoshan clan had many conflicts with the Qin clan because of the matter regarding your parents. Right now many of our juniors, elders, and parents have all died because of this, feeling so much pain that they wish they were dead. As for Qianxue, she could simply leave and leave everything to the clan. You are Qianxue's son. Do you still think that you have no connection with the Luoshan clan? Luo Shanmu calmly spoke. There was no trace of anger in his tone. Junior wishes to ask Senior. If the descendants of the seniors had conflicts with other major powers and were bullied, would the Luoshan clan interfere? Qin Wentian asked. Luo Shanmu fell silent for a moment. He instantly understood Qin Wentian's meaning. He smiled. Naturally. If the Luoshan clan suffered losses because of this, would the Luoshan clan blame the descendants of the seniors who were bullied? Qin Wentian calmly spoke, not dealing with the enemies but blaming the people of the clan instead. If the Luoshan clan acts like this, I'm afraid we would become a laughingstock. If word of this spreads out, we would become a laughingstock. Impudent. A person berated. Can I ask for your advice? Which sentence is impudent? Qin Wentian stared at the person who berated as he calmly asked. Luo Shanmu waved his hand. He smiled at Qin Wentian. Your words aren't without reason. However, back then the marriage between your parents was something the Luoshan clan didn't allow, and your mother insisted on doing things her own way. In the end, this led to some consequences. This is different from the example you mentioned. Regardless of right or wrong, if the Luoshan clan can't even protect their own clansmen and even blame them, what's the point of the Luoshan clan existing? Qin Wentian calmly mocked. Since Senior is so concerned about right or wrong, in that case back then in the world of reincarnation, the two world overlords of the Luoshan clan betrayed their own clansmen, and didn't even hesitate to act against them, wanting to send them to the hands of their enemies. Such despicable and shameful actions. Why can the two of them still appear among the people of the Luoshan clan, and not be expelled from the Luoshan clan? When the two world overlords saw Qin Wentian pointing the spearhead at them, their eyes gleamed with coldness. I didn't expect Qin Yuanfeng's son to be such a sharp-tongued person. An old man mocked. Since Senior wants to argue, I will do so. Now that I can't win with logic, you even angered me and humiliated me. Such actions. Qin Wentian shook his head, not concealing the mockery in his tone at all. What you said is very logical. Luo Shanmu smiled and nodded. In the battle earlier, you wanted to slit the throat with a single sword strike. Such elegance, you do have the talent of your father back then. What you said earlier is very correct. It's hard to differentiate between logic and reason. Who is right and who is wrong isn't important. What's important is that if the Luoshan clan can't even protect their own clansmen from being humiliated, they wouldn't be fit to be the Luoshan clan. In that case, they insulted my father and my elder brother. Shouldn't they give me an explanation as well? Luoshan Lei coldly spoke. On the other hand, the clan leader of the Luoshan clan, Luoshan Chuan, didn't say anything. He was waiting to see how Qin Wentian would react. They deserve it. Who else insulted you earlier? Step out now and slap yourselves for every sentence you say. Luo Shanmu's voice suddenly turned cold, becoming imposingly imposing. The expressions of the experts earlier stiffened. Many of them were world overlords. Yet Luo Shanmu wanted them to slap themselves? Luo Shanchuan's eyes narrowed. This Luo Shanmu was truly ruthless. Was he preparing to be ruthless? Did you not hear my words? Luo Shanmu's voice grew even colder. The experts from the Luoshan clan all walked out with unsightly expressions. However, they also understood that Luo Shanmu did this because he wanted to deal with Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian's expression turned even colder when he saw this scene. Luo Shenmu wanted to find an excuse to deal with him. Luo Shenmu quietly stared at the experts who slapped themselves. After that he turned to Qin Wentian. You also said it yourself. You came to the Luoshan clan to visit your uncle, and have nothing to do with the Luoshan clan. Now they have to pay a price for what they did. But you insulted someone from the Luoshan clan, and even pointed your sword at their throats. How should you resolve this matter? Someone insulted me and my uncle. I naturally have to retaliate. If senior wants to act against me for the sake of juniors, I have nothing to say. Qin Wentian calmly smiled. If a heavenly deity acted against him, his grandfather who was the clan leader of the Luoshan clan wouldn't be a decoration. I naturally won't act. Luo Shenmu spoke. Qin Wentian's smile grew even more radiant. Since this is the case, those who want to take revenge for what happened earlier, feel free to act against me. If you can slice my throat with your sword, I'll admit it. But if you can't and my throat is sliced instead, don't blame me. Arrogant. The experts on Luo Shenmu's side all had expressions of rage on their faces. This son of Qin Yuanfeng wasn't just an ordinary arrogance. He had everyone in his eyes and simply didn't have the experts of the Luoshan clan in his eyes at all. Chapter 1856. Luo Shenmu stared at Qin Wentian. What arrogant words. I hope your strength is as strong as him. After speaking, he turned his gaze to Luo Shenchuan. Elder brother won't interfere, right? Luo Shenchuan glanced at Qin Wentian and nodded. Since things have already been made clear, Qin Wentian's matter can be considered a personal grudge. If someone wants to target him, I have no objections. However, if someone disregarded their status and acted, as his grandfather, I naturally won't stand idly by. Luo Shenchuan's attitude was very simple. If a heavenly deity didn't act, he wouldn't interfere. But if a heavenly deity acted to bully a junior as a grandfather, he naturally wouldn't stand idly by. You guys have all heard it. Luo Shenmu spoke to the people around him. There was no need for him to interfere in the matters that would happen next. At this moment, a figure stepped out from behind Luo Shenmu. This was a hegemonic level world overlord, Luo Shenlai. His strength was extremely powerful, and could definitely be considered at the peak among world overlords. When the people around Luo Shenmu saw him acting, they all felt at ease in their hearts. This was already a sign of how highly they regarded Qin Wentian. After all, there were rumors in the supreme ancient immortal realms that Qin Wentian was extremely dazzling in the world of reincarnation. His combat prowess was extraordinary and he couldn't be taken lightly. Luo Shenlai's blazing rend world heart has already reached great heights. It could easily destroy an area of space. In addition, his defense was also extremely strong. At the world overlord level, there should be very few who could be his match. Qin Wentian stepped out, his steps were steady. He had a demon sword on his back, and was clad in white. His entire body exuded a carefree aura. Let's go up. Luo Shenlai spoke. As the sound of his voice faded, he soared up into the air, soaring into the clouds. Qin Wentian's silhouette flashed as he soared into the air as well. Although there were heavenly deities present, and they could control the aftershocks of their battle, they would still feel restricted. It was naturally the most convenient to fight in the air. There was no need for them to be affected by the terrain. The experts of the Luoshan clan inclined their heads. Their gazes pierced through space and landed on the two people in the air. In an instant, a fearsome heat gushed forth from Luo Shenlai. His god-rearing talent was unleashed as a myriad of demons appeared. Behind him, the silhouette of a terrifying ancient demon appeared. This demonic beast resembled a fiery bird that resembled a golden crow. However, it had 9 heads and was bathed in golden flames. Each head could exhale scorching chi that could incinerate the heavens and earth. A terrifying golden flame extended through the air, instantly enveloping the entire space. The surroundings of Qin Wentian were also filled with golden flames. This was none other than the power of his Heaven Heart mandate. It felt like anyone who was engulfed by these golden flames would be incinerated into nothingness. A screen of light appeared around Qin Wentian. This screen of light was extremely dazzling, wrapping his body within it. It was as if he was in an absolute space, not being eroded by his opponent's power, and resisting the burning of the golden flames. Spatial Dao art. Luo Xinlai's expression was calm when he saw this scene. Could Qin Wentian evade his attack, just like this? The nine-headed fiery bird breathed out scorching qi. Wisps of illusory golden flames directly permeated the air, extending outwards. In an instant, the sea of clouds in the sky turned golden, resembling a sea of lava. Terrifying liquefied flames flowed within. Also, this was from the inside out. Even if one was in the void, they wouldn't be able to evade it. Qin Wentian could clearly sense that this energy had already engulfed his body, wanting to corrode the independent space he was in. When major characters of the Luotian clan acted, how could ordinary world overlords be able to compare to them? Congeal. Luo Xinlai spoke. In an instant, the scorching heat in the air seemed to be about to congeal. Qin Wentian could sense that the surrounding space was about to congeal, sealed within the scorching lava. After this space congealed, most probably, it would transform into a space of death. Humph. Below, the people around Luo Xinmu coldly snorted. Under the scorching heat, everything would be destroyed. Even if Qin Wentian managed to block the first wave of attacks, he would still be congealed within the lava. After that, his body would be disintegrated into countless fragments. This entire space, regardless of reality or illusion, everything would be the same. No one would be able to survive. How could the Heaven Heart mandate of a hegemonic level world overlord not be tyrannical? Where are your World Heart and Heaven Heart mandates? Luo Xinlai spoke, his voice like a great bell, capable of splitting the heavens and earth apart, exuding an incomparably tyrannical aura. Qin Wentian didn't reply. He inclined his head and stared at Luo Xinlai. His eyes seemed to be able to penetrate through the boundless space, as he stared into Luo Xinlai's eyes. Luo Xinlai also stared back at him. Their gazes locked, and in an instant, a wave of Dao might manifested. This gaze contained the Dao. It contained Qin Wentian's Dao. The congealed golden flames in the surroundings vanished. Luo Xinlai discovered that he was in an independent space that seemed to be controlled by Qin Wentian. Luo Xinlai's heart trembled slightly. A single gaze hiding the Dao actually forcefully brought him into this independent space. How tyrannical was this? My Heaven Heart mandate and World Heart can be hidden within anything. The Dao is hidden within the Dao. There's no need for me to release it. Qin Wentian calmly spoke. The nine-headed firebird behind Luo Xinlai was still there, spitting out terrifying golden flames. But almost in an instant, this independent space that was under Qin Wentian's absolute control was about to stop. However, the flowing golden flames didn't stop. Qin Wentian merely unleashed the power of time and space. It was unable to suppress Luo Xinlai's power. However, Qin Wentian also moved. His sword hummed as he unsheathed his demon sword. Luo Xinlai stared at Qin Wentian as his gaze grew heavy. He was prepared to block his attack, but Qin Wentian's sword light didn't attack him. Instead, it arced through the air in a resplendent arc. The sword light was cold, exuding a desolate killing intent. This scene caused Luo Xinlai to be stunned as a strange look appeared on his face. What was Qin Wentian doing? How could there be such a sword art that didn't even attack others? Just when he was contemplating, Qin Wentian's body transformed into a beam of light, leaving behind countless beams of sword light around him. His speed was so fast that it was too much for the naked eye to follow. When Luo Xinlai was surrounded by the sword light, he suddenly felt an extremely bad premonition. In the next instant, he saw the sword light shooting towards him. Each beam of sword light contained a Dao within, wanting to engulf him. Qin Wentian stood in the air. He slashed down with his sword. This sword strike directly slashed through the center of the sword light, activating all the sword light. Just when this thought appeared in their minds, they discovered that the dazzling Luo Xinlai had already closed his eyes. His body powerlessly fell from the air. There was no longer any signs of life in him. It was like his life was sealed for eternity. This also meant that he had died. Luo Xinlai's body continued falling downwards. Just when he was about to hit the ground, Luo Shenmu waved his hand as a beam of light enveloped his body. After that, Luo Shenlai's body landed before him. There were no injuries on Luo Shenlai's body, but he had already lost all signs of life. In fact, many people couldn't tell how he died. Luo Shenlai was killed by an evil art. The white-robed figure carried an ancient sword on his back as he slowly descended from the air. At this moment, the gazes of everyone landed on him, feeling shock in their hearts. No matter how Qin Wentian did it, he had indeed killed Luo Shenlai. There was no third party who interfered. This was an ironclad truth, placed before everyone's eyes. The Tao is hidden in the sword, the Tao is hidden in the eyes. Your cultivation base is very high. Luo Shenmu sighed. As a heavenly deity, he naturally knew how Qin Wentian did it. He didn't expect that Qin Wentian's comprehension of the Tao had already reached such a terrifying level. This sentence of very high was definitely true praise, so high that even Luo Shenmu couldn't help but sigh in admiration. A smile appeared in Luo Shenyu's eyes as he praised. Awesome. Father. Luo Shenlai stared at her father in puzzlement. Luo Shenyu spoke. Your elder brother's comprehension of the Tao isn't any weaker compared to me back then. Luo Shenlai's heart trembled. Back then, her father was a heavenly deity. Her elder brother's comprehension has actually reached such a level? Could it be because of the legendary place? As someone from the Luoshan clan, she naturally knew how powerful Luo Shenlai was. He was a true hegemonic level existence, but he was so easily killed by her elder brother. In fact, many people didn't even understand how he did it. This indicated that his understanding of the Tao has already surpassed the vast majority of people here. If they couldn't understand it, they would naturally be inferior to him. Why must you do this? Luo Shenchuan sighed. No matter what, Luo Shenlai was a hegemonic level character of their Luoshan clan. Now that he died, it was a loss to the Luoshan clan. Naturally, although Luo Shenchuan sighed, he wouldn't sympathize with Luo Shenlai. After all, in the struggle for authority, such things would most probably happen frequently in the future. Father. Uncle Lai. Many people walked towards Luo Shenlai's corpse as grief and sorrow appeared on their faces. Their eyes were filled with hatred as they stared at Qin Wentian. What a ruthless method. Someone coldly spoke. Qin Wentian stared at those cold gazes, yet there wasn't too much of a fluctuation in his heart. He calmly replied, if he wins and I die, you guys would feel proud of how strong he is. Wouldn't you all be happy? Luo Shenmu shifted his gaze away from Qin Wentian. He stared at Luo Shenchuan. Elder brother, you have a good grandson. Luo Shenchuan frowned. Luo Shenmu wanted to direct the anger of everyone onto him. And as expected, the expressions of many people in the Luoshan clan changed when they looked at their clan leader. However, shouldn't the other culprit behind Luo Shenlai's death be him, Luo Shenmu? Naturally, Luo Shenchuan didn't argue. He calmly spoke. He is my grandson. I don't wish to see him die. I also don't wish to see anyone from the Luoshan clan dying in battle. If you are truly thinking for the sake of the Luoshan clan, just stop. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.